It's actually one of my favourite songs.
You said that about every song we've played.
Yeah, because I love all the songs we play.
They will go on the playlist, but...
Yes, it is a good one.
Nellie's playlist. It's a good playlist.
Well, you know what, Dean? That's all we have time for today.
It is. If you missed the show or you just want to listen to the magic again, it'll be replayed on Friday, 2 p.m. PNG time, or you can find all our episodes on the Radio Australia website or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Bye there.
That's all here.
Can You Be More Pacific? An ABC Sport production for ABC Radio Australia.
This program has been funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
Good evening, ABC News. I'm Nicole Asher. The federal government is warning refugees soon to be transferred to New Zealand they'll never settle in Australia. Tom Lowry reports from Parliament House.
9 years ago, a deal was brokered between the then Gillard government and New Zealand to take in hundreds of refugees who'd arrived in Australia by boat. The coalition has previously been reluctant to act on it, but has now accepted the offer, and hundreds of refugees will be transferred over the next 3 years. But Home Affairs Minister Karen Andrews says they can never return to live in Australia.
People who come to Australia illegally by boat will never, ever settle in Australia. That policy position has not changed.
Labor says it's relieved the offer has been accepted, but criticised the government for being slow to take it up.
NATO leaders are gathering in Brussels to discuss their response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine as the war enters its fifth week. The emergency meeting is due to agree to deploy thousands more troops to Eastern Europe. Ahead of the talks, NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg repeated that any use of chemical weapons would fundamentally change the nature of the conflict.
We need to do more, and therefore we need to invest more, and there is a new sense of urgency, and I expect that the leaders will agree to accelerate the investments in defence to meet the pledge we have made to invest more in defence.
Later tonight, G7 and EU summits will coordinate the enforcement of existing sanctions against Russia, as well as considering further measures. Poland has now accepted more than 2 million Ukrainian refugees and has begun issuing them with registration numbers so they can access services and jobs. The BBC's Mark Lowen reports from the Poland-Ukraine border.
At the start of the invasion, we watched as panic drove the immediate huge rush to escape. But those now coming to places like this tried to stick it out, hoping the bombs would stop. More than 3.5 million have fled, around 60% of them to Poland, which is now the world's second largest host of refugees. The new arrivals are being given social security numbers and places at schools. And that sense of permanence may in time bring challenges and tension, depending on how long this goes on.
A cross-party Victorian parliamentary inquiry has backed raising the age of criminal responsibility. Here's state political reporter Richard Willingham.
Across Australia, Attorneys General have been under pressure to raise the age of criminal responsibility. In Victoria, children as young as 10 can be charged, and advocates want it to be raised to 14. A parliamentary inquiry into the state's justice system has recommended the state adopt that. Australia's Attorneys General are moving towards raising the age to 12, which the committee described as a missed opportunity. There are currently just 3 children in custody, all are 13 and on remand. The inquiry also urged more action to tackle disadvantage.
The Victorian government says it hopes the country's first Indigenous Truth-Telling Commission will see similar moves made in other states and territories. Launched in Melbourne today, the Yurruk Justice Commission will investigate the injustices experienced by Indigenous Victorians since colonisation. It will tour the state to hear from Aboriginal communities and deliver an interim report in June. Victoria's Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, Gabrielle Williams, says it sets a precedent.
We hope that this is a shining light to the rest of the country. We hope that this is the start of much bigger things to come across Australia, because the truth is you cannot move forward until you've reckoned with the past.
Australian tennis champion Ash Barty says she has no regrets over her abrupt retirement and insists the time was right. Kira Jones has more.
In her farewell press conference, the world number one says after achieving her dream of winning Wimbledon, she wanted to have one last crack at the Australian Open. Less than 2 months after taking that title, the 25-year-old stunned fans here and abroad by announcing her retirement yesterday. The three-time Grand Slam champion says she's keen to start the next chapter of her life, but was tight-lipped about her exact plans for the future.
You have to wait and see. I'm not giving you everything right now. It's all right. You can be patient.
Barty says she's been overwhelmed by the support she's received in the past 24 hours.
To the weather, partly cloudy in the south with isolated showers possible over the southwest and central coasts tonight and in the far east. Mostly clear in Melbourne this evening, after a top today of 20 degrees. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and 21. Saturday, mostly sunny and 24. Right now in the city, it's 17 degrees. ABC News.
The future. Have Annabelle Crabb and Charlie Pickering been there?
Oh, no, hang on.
On Tomorrow Tonight, they ask a star-studded lineup of special guests questions they've never been asked before.
Let's start with you, Dave.
About things that haven't happened yet.
If you had a deep fake video of you... Are we going to the tape?
This is like, our generation's no smoking, don't scan your conscience.
Tomorrow Tonight.
Really?
Starts Wednesday, March 30 on ABC TV or log in to stream on ABC iView.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
For the red and blue true believers, they've climbed out of purgatory. For Melbourne tonight, there is a brand new flag.
After 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
The Demons are premiers.
Let's go. You don't want to miss this.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Check this out. Now we're in business. Won't believe what you're about to witness.
Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Bailey Smith, be the hero.
So much to
40 out. What a superstar.
That is a moment of inspiration.
He loves this day. He loves this stage.
You better know it's the greatest show.
AFL.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it.
Superb finish.
The impossible angle. Sensational goal.
And that's what brings fans through the gate.
Roll up, it's time for the show. Forget everything that you know. You ain't seen nothing like this. It's impossible to resist.
Pulls the trigger on goal and goes bang.
To the right forward pocket.
Pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't seen nothing like
Here we go. We've got a game now. We are on.
You want your very best players having the ball in the moments that matter.
With a talk from 55. Hello. That is the cream on the cake. That is brilliant.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
Straight in front, 50 out, whacks it straight through. The captain delivers in a big moment. You are kidding me. Oh, he's a superstar. Sets his sights on goal. Jay Hamilton leaps into the night sky and drags in the mark. How much do you want it? How much do you need it? How much do you want this? We're gonna be kids.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Turns and snaps. What a way to finish.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Carlton round one winners for the first time in a decade, but missing 2 players and 4 from the football department, including Michael Voss for their round 2 encounter with the Western Bulldogs. While the Dogs came up short against the Premiers again. And following that, an extraordinary tirade from coach Luke Beveridge. Is that a glimpse into how the Dogs have dealt with grand final defeat internally? Let's see what they've got for us tonight up against a bottom 10 team from last year in Carlton. Under the Thursday night lights, this is Grandstand AFL. Corbin Middlemass and Matt Clinch in commentary. Our Grandstand AFL experts, Mick Malthouse, the man who's coached more games in VFL AFL footy than anyone else, and 2-time All-Australian, 2-time best and fairest Brett Delidio. Mitch Cleary's with us with all the news, as well as riding the boundary for us tonight. The changes, there are no late changes. Lockie Plowman is an unusual sub for Carlton for the first time in his career, and Bailey Williams the sub for the Western Bulldogs. The news at selection last night is Sam Walsh is back, so just 37 days after having ankle surgery, he returns to the starting 22 along with Lockie Fogarty, while for the Western Bulldogs, Anthony Scott, Taylor Duray and Jamara Ugle-Hagan all in the starting 22. Matt Clinch is here, as I mentioned. Hello, Clinchy.
Hello, Corby. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be with you on a Thursday night, and what a great way to back up after round one. Are Carlton the real deal? Can they back it up against a side who, of course, featured in last year's grand final and all the dramas of the week, with Michael Voss, of course, missing this match after his opening round win. Sam Walsh comes back in, so there's a lot to like about the Blues, and what a great way to test themselves against the Western Bulldogs. We saw Easton Wood do a lap of honour, the former premiership captain, so great moment for a lot of Bulldogs fans. Let's see what they can deliver tonight.
The Dogs home game, so they're in the Royal Blue, warming up at the moment at the Lockett end of the ground, and the Blues have just burst through the banner, as you can hear their theme song in the background, in the white shorts but in the navy blue with the white monogram. Our experts are fully loaded. I'll get to them in just a moment for the full preview, but Mitch Cleary is with us, and again, it's been a busy news day on this Thursday. Team selections, and the man who's won 3 Norm Smith medals, the only man in AFL history to have done so, in Dustin Martin. Mitch, unfortunately, he's going to be missing, or at least is missing momentarily from the Richmond team. What's the latest on the Dusty front?
Yeah, good evening to you, Corbin. Dustin Martin missing all week at training. He's on indefinite leave from the club. Interestingly, he has been named in the squad to play on Sunday, but even the Tigers will admit that's unlikely he will play. We know he's been dealing with a few personal matters in the last few months. His dad's death came as a massive shock in December. He's been mourning that since the very moment. So Dustin Martin unlikely to play against the Giants. A few other big team news across the weekend. Jaden Stevenson dropped for North Melbourne. So too Liam Shields at Hawthorn, the triple premiership player at the Hawks. Jake Stringer is back for Essendon. 5 West Coast players, including premiership trio Josh Kennedy, Tom Barrass and Jack Redden, all missing through COVID protocols. And this is another one at Geelong. Jeremy Cameron named for the Cats after that hip pointer injury. He was sent to hospital 5 days ago. A big fitness test for him late this afternoon. Has been named, but one to watch up until the bounce against Sydney tomorrow.
Thanks, Mitch. We'll come back to you for a scene setter momentarily. Both teams conducting their preliminary warm-ups. Mick Moldhouse and Brett Delidio, as I mentioned, as we near in towards the bounce of the ball to start round 2. What are we in for tonight? What's ahead of us, the Bulldogs and the Blues?
Corby, Matt and Brett and listeners, what are we in for? This is a month ago we're expecting that the Dogs would have been probably 1-0. Carlton didn't know, but new coach, playing much tougher football. The way they played last week, I thought was fantastic. There were 2 things that didn't take place. Mackay and Curnow didn't kick goal, or they did kick one. So when they're able to unleash with this midfield, with Sam Walsh now back into it, they are, with that exception, they're going to be in the same category, I reckon, as a very good Geelong side that can kick the 15-20. Brisbane at home, the 15-20. And the Dogs down the other end, they had their goal kickers last week were 3 goal kickers. That's all they had from forward line. The rest were midfield or half back. That is a major problem for them, and it hasn't been improved by selection. So, I mean, on the face of it, it's going to be difficult to, in my mind, go past Carlton. And I know that everyone's going, well, really, are they the real deal? Well, the Dogs they've got to impress me to say, well, kick goals. They're going to have to get their hands dirty in the middle, which they didn't do last week. Does Liberatore go in? He's going to be, like, size-wise, he's up to the knee of Kennedy and Cripps. So it's going to be interesting, Brett.
Certainly is. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here on a Thursday night. I copped a bit of an earful from a few people on the way in, Mick. I tried to cut my way through a bit of traffic and I told them I couldn't hear them. The music was too loud. I was getting psyched up for the game because I'm pretty excited about tonight. I was disappointed, though, that one of my favourite players to watch at the moment, Bailey Smith, isn't playing. I'm disappointed for that because I wanted to watch him and really watch him live. You know, it's different watching him on the TV to watch him live and watch his work rate. And Adam Cerra, I didn't realise he was such a good player. From watching him last week, I feel like he complements this Carlton midfield really, really well. And, you know, Cripps in there. Matty Kennedy's completely turned around his game from where he was. He's just that extra big-bodied mid along with George Hill, who's in there as well. And then to have Walsh come in on the other end of that, you know, you're sort of like, wow, this could have been a really exciting matchup. But that's not to be. But I'm with you. I feel like the Blues are really starting to build something. My only concern would be that really lapped up the last week and being able to beat Richmond. We don't know how good Richmond are going to be, but the other distraction being, the COVID stuff that's been going on. Is that going to be an issue? I can't imagine it being too much in today's day and age. So I'm excited to see what Carlton can do. But again, where are the goals coming from the Dogs? I really hope that Jamara can, really start to show us why he was the number one pick. Can he show us a work rate? Something that's going to say, this is what this kid's going to hang his hat on. He doesn't have to kick 4 goals tonight, but show us your work rate.
Well, that seems to be the major factor, doesn't it? Every time you listen to the dialogue that comes out of the kennel, it's about his work ethic, but chasing the other way. And they've said it from word go. Look, he needs to improve on. There's a couple of things he needs to improve. Well, they haven't said it, but they might as well tell the world because we all know what it is. The simple fact that he didn't get a game last week suggests to me that he's still a long way from it.
Yep.
And given the performance of last week plus the injuries, he's now been told, yes, we understand that you can do it. But I'm out with you. Carlton do run the ball well.
Yep.
That'll be a test. They clear the ball well. That'll be a big test. Timmy English, I thought Timmy English last week was a shining light given the way he's generally played against those type of players, and I thought he did a very, very good job last week. So it's going to be interesting.
Mick, when you coach more games in this competition than anyone else, you see a lot of stuff over that particular period and had so much success. Tonight, Michael Voss is at home with COVID, and he's going to have 4 different screens and a direct line into the coach's box where Ash Hansen is in charge for the night. Now, Michael Voss has said, look, it's Ash's box. He's in control. I've just got a little line in there in case I want to give some feedback as the night goes on. How would you go if you were Michael Voss tonight and had a direct line to the box but weren't in charge?
You're saying he's got a little line. He's got more TV sets than Walt Disney. So how would I go? I think I'd be highly frustrated. I found it difficult when I used to release the coaches to do the pre-season games. But once you make that decision, you do tend then to not focus in on the coaching so much as the game. Michael Voss is he's no fool, and he's also been around the traps. So this is his second big stint at it. He's been assistant a long time as well. So he would have been able to think, well, Ken Hinckley's a wonderful teacher, so he would have seen that. At the end of the day, I was just saying to Brett before the game, the thing that they've taken a lot away from coaching. The 666 is away from coaching. You sit on your hands. What can you do? You can't change anything except the personnel. You can get them off the ground quick enough. So the reality is the work's done pre-match. You've got your review of the game. You've got your main training session. Then you look at the game later in the week to say, well, these are our strategies for this week. And I mean strategies. So, what do we do about Norton? He mainly kicks their goals. Do we put an extra player in front? All that sort of stuff. Mickey will be all over that. And I dare say that information has been relayed on. So coaching match day now is more about the emotion than it is sometimes about the moves, because the moves are infrequent because of the restrictions that's been placed on us or on coaches.
If Ash Hansen had the chance to coach for his life, he'd probably pick a team down the bottom of the ladder, but he did spend 9 years at the Dogs. So if ever a team he knows well, it would be the Western Bulldogs and how Luke Beveridge will line up.
Yeah, and that's it. I think he can take some good comfort out of that, knowing that he's going to know what they're doing and what they're setting up at certain times. An in-house joke at the Tigers used to be Dimmer wanted to be at the point where he could sit up in the box and eat a sanger like Bomber Thompson did that night, where we saw him just munching on a ham salad sandwich.
Very regularly. Well, it wasn't just once, let me tell you.
But that was Dimmer's plan, was you need to be so well coached, and I want my leaders to be able to control what's going on, that I can sit up here and just relax,
Sam Walsh is back tonight, 37 days after ankle surgery. I saw a photo that Carlton had put up of his ankle on the way into the ground tonight, and already it looks like he's got a bit of an orange that's starting to develop on what is his right ankle, which he's just had surgery on. So that was Walsh earlier tonight making his way into Docklands.
That's probably the aftermath of the operation, more so than what would have happened over. I mean, he would have been running. It's quite amazing. I'm going to say that. And this is one of my employees, Herald Sun. They said, what's the ladder and who's going to win the Brownlow? And I said Sam Walsh. They rang me back and they said, look, he's just done his ankle here. And I said, no, I reckon this kid, he's got such great characteristics in his work ethic. Like they said, week 6, knowing, seeing my grandson plays in the same club as his brothers down at Ocean Grove, and I said, I just look at the way the family operate. And I know this kid here, well, he's back. That is an astonishing get. He'll be fantastic for him tonight.
He's one of 3 number 1 picks that are out there. Obviously, Jamara Ugle-Hagan and Jacob Wiedering, who has the fascinating matchup with Aaron Norton tonight. Mitch Cleary's with us on the boundary. Maasai, little scene setter for us.
The roof is shut down here, Corbin. The crowd really starting to fill up the top deck here at Docklands, probably dodging the traffic that Lids was dodging on the way in. Big lines outside the ground. I reckon we're pushing 35,000 tonight. Lockie Plowman, the starting sub for the Blues. Bailey Williams for the Dogs. And tonight, Carlton will be wearing black armbands to celebrate the life of Phyllis Tague, a 93-year member, passed away this week at the age of 106. Corbin?
Oh, it's a good dig and a nice touch by the Carlton Football Club. Once this game was billed as Cripps versus Bontempelli, it's sort of cooled off a little bit in recent times, but they shook hands at the middle and Patrick Cripps won the toss and pointed to the Lockett end. So the ultimate hype machine, Carlton, they test themselves against the runners-up of last year. It's the Blues and the Bulldogs to get us going. Round 2 of the AFL season on Grandstand AFL. You're with Matt Clinch.
Bontempelli to start alongside Patrick Cripps. Let's see how long that lasts for as the umpire readies himself to get things underway here for round 2. Pitnet and English. Pitnet got a big knee up and one down the opening tap. Got the hand pass to Cripps. Here go the Blues through Walsh. Got it to Fisher by hand to Hewitt to left half forward. Hand pass to Lockie O'Brien. Hacks the kick inside the 50. Charlie Curnow plays on. Snaps on the right boot. The dream start. Inside 20 seconds. Quick as a flash. Carlton get the clearance and Charlie Curnow kicks the goal. What a start. Carlton lead by 6 points.
Well, we saw last week, didn't we, Mick, how important it was to win centre clearance, and if that's the way it's going to go, then this 6-6-6 rule, I know you don't like it as a tactician of the game, but I love seeing more and more goals. And I wrote in my notes earlier that Curnow would be better for that run last week, and to get one on the board really early, that'll do his confidence the absolute world of good.
Yeah, now, well, that's what I said to you earlier, that neither of their key forwards look like, well, they didn't kick goals since they won the game comprehensively. So if they get on song with this midfield, this is the Dogs have to do some heavy loading in the middle, and Liberatore starting on the bench.
The Dogs will remember Charlie Curnow. The last time he played against the Bulldogs, he kicked 7 on this ground back in 2019, and he's got one in the first 25 seconds as Pitnet palms it down. Cripps has a fumble, becomes tackler on Bontempelli. Pack forms alongside the centre circles, and the umpire says ball up.
Interesting to see. The Dogs have got an eye formation of their forward line, so they know that the Carlton will run the ball.
Hit a net down to Walsh. Bontempelli locks him up and will do it all again. Still inside the centre square. No late change. Bailey Williams and Lockie Plowman, the 2 subs.
Norton on Wiedering. Oscar McDonald on Jamara Ugle-Hagan. From the stoppage, Cripps tries to break clear. Hand pass to Fisher, to Walsh, back to Pitnet. Intercepted by Treloar for the Dogs. Hand pass to McRae. Inside the 50, over the fingertips of Ugle-Hagan. Running onto it, Norton. His hand pass picked off by Sard for the Blues. Hand pass to O'Brien. He shanks it back to the goal mouth. Williams has enough time to gather in front of his defensive goal line. Takes the bounces. Hannon offers challenge and a good outlet kick as he spots Oscar McDonald at right half back.
He kicks down the boundary line to Mackay, who takes the juggled mark just in front of Keith. He's right on halfway, city side of the ground. Mackay heads down to half forward. Durden and Gardner both down there. Spills the Dogs' way though. Crozier to Cordy. Hand pass through to Daniel. He chips his kick too wide. Had a bounce on the full. Hit the fence, so he missed by about 3 metres.
Very unusual for him to miss.
And a team high 37 on grand final day. And as Mick pointed out, ordinarily a really nice ball user. This is Setterfield to put the Blues inside 50 again. They come from all directions. Keith spoils, but down to Hewitt. He's dispossessed. Spills to Fisher. Hand pass back to Setterfield. Now 70 out. He gives it to Doherty. Kicks a high up and under inside 50. English runs underneath it. Spills to Cordy. He gives it to English, and the Dogs on the last line. Hand pass goes back to Dunkley, who can clear.
Kicks to a 1-on-1 and half back. Scott had to spoil from behind Sard. Sards runs onto it at left half forward. Inside the 50. He won't quite have the distance. As Cordy takes the mark at the top of the defensive goal square for the Dogs. Quickly out to McRae. 39 disposals last week against the Demons as he looks to find the outlet kick. And Treloar has it at left half back. Wants to try and play on around Fisher as he feeds the hand pass back to McRae. Kicks up the outer wing, and Hannon is unable to outmanoeuvre his opponent, Mitch McGovern, and the ball goes out of play. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Mick mentioned the interesting bench for the Bulldogs. Tonga Bratore starting there as an inside midfielder. You've also got leadership group member Taylor DeRay, former vice-captain Lockie Hunter, and one of their most exciting forwards, Cody Waitman. It's an interesting mix to start the game.
Curnow with the only score so far, a goal in the first 20 seconds from the boundary throw-in. Spills down to Setterfield. 1-2 hand pass with Walsh, and now Setterfield kicks along the boundary line. Durden has the climb, can't come down with the footy. It's whacked away by Crozier, and a throw-in. 70 out from the Bulldogs goal. 4 minutes in, no late change. Jamara Ugle-Hagan back for the Dogs, and Sam Walsh back for the Blues from the boundary throw-in. The Rucks miss it. Fisher tumbles a kick up to halfway. Silvani inadvertently soccers it back 30 metres in the other direction. Pitnet, his teammate, takes the mark. Hand pass to Cripps. Kicks across the ground, and Rourke Smith at full stretch takes the mark. Back edge of the centre square for the Bulldogs.
Carlton 1 goal, the Bulldogs yet to score. Rourke Smith wanted to come into the corridor, now drives a long kick towards Jamara Ugle-Hagan. In from the side with one arm, couldn't take it. Now sweats on Wiedering, trying to force the turnover. Wiedering so calm, under pressure, kicks into the middle of the ground. Fisher was in a wrestle, a hold, and a Bulldogs free kick. Daniel takes the advantage out to English, who marks on his chest. 50 metres out from goal on a 45-degree angle. He points to the big sticks.
The Dogs have settled, certainly settled outside of that first couple of minutes, and they lost the first couple of clearances, but they just seem to have got a little more composure. It's whether if English gets forward, he'll be able to kick goals, but from ruck, it's going to be pretty hard to do.
Didn't kick a goal in the final series, Tim English. 20 disposals against Max Gawn last week from outside 50. You can hear the crowd's response as it lands in the third row. And some Carlton fans take the mark. No change to the score. The Blues lead by a goal. 1 straight 6 to the Bulldogs. Yet to score through 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's about 7 or 8 metres too far for him. Either lay it off or kick the ball short. He really has wasted that kick.
Sard to Doherty, short to Walsh, and there's the warm applause making his return. And that ankle surgery just 37 days ago as Walsh goes long up the boundary line. Curnow got hands to it, spills down to Hewitt. Hot hand pass, 2 slip for Cripps, and out of bounds it goes on the City wing.
One thing I've noticed, Mick, early with the Dogs, when they're standing the mark, they always pull back 4 or 5 metres. I'm not sure I like that. I'd rather put the pressure on the player to make him make the decision quicker.
Well,
it's in your thoughts.
Well, I'll go for a quarter time, perhaps. I think it's worthy of mentioning.
Daniel's able to squeeze a kick. He volleyed it out of the air, and Vandermeer marks on his chest, left half forward. Has players running past, hand pass boundary side to Bontempelli. Up McGovern, dropped the mark. He beat Hannon, but couldn't hang on. Knows how to play in a boundary throw in 30 metres around from the Bulldogs goal.
Led off there by the Dogs because McGovern was a long way behind Hannon.
5 inside 50s to 3 the Bulldogs way as it's tossed back in. Pitnet just taps it straight towards the boundary. Hewitt offers chase. McRae's there with him. And it rolls across the boundary line for a throw-in.
Just a look at the ground at the moment. There's no Carlton player, or there's no players behind centre at the moment. The Carlton forwards are pushed right up the ground. Maybe want to turn them with speed.
Mitch Hannon doing the ruck work opposed to Pitnet, and Hannon got a piece of it on the way down. He goes to Cripps though on the Blues. Hand pass to Walsh, kicks off half back. Flying for it English, no mark, falls to Richards. He's drilled in the tackle from Curnow. And a ball up on the City wing. Carlton are 1 straight, the Dogs yet to score. We're 7.5 minutes into this opening quarter. Pitnet and English. English knocks it away. McRae ended up on his backside and he's getting a free for it. Bowled over by Cripps as the ball was tossed in the air. And Jack McRae, big heavy numbers again last week with 59 disposals. Down to half forward, English leaping for it. The mark's paid.
It's a great mark. That's if you're going to only have one key forward, then he has to get into that forward line. This is a great testament to his stamina for a start off, because he knows his opponent has to go with him here. Well done by English.
He had a look earlier in the quarter and put one out on the full. He's a similar distance, tighter angle. Man on the mark, 48 metres out. He kicks from behind the 50-metre arc. English's drop punt off the boot is pure. Whack.
Magnificent.
Through it goes, and the Dogs level it up. 8.5 minutes into the opening term, 1 straight 6 apiece. Tim English with a rocket from outside 50.
We've already seen him, haven't we, Mick, get right up and back and really try and test out Pitton and say, "Hello, big fella, if you want to come with me, we're going to have to go all the way back into defence, and then I'm going to test you out going forward." He's already taken 2 marks inside 50.
Who is going to be their relief ruckman? Both clubs.
Well, it was Mitch Hannon in the forward line.
Yeah.
Now, I don't reckon he's the one for the centre bounce.
Well, that's right. It just makes you wonder how often English is going to come off the ground.
But Conning will come in, I would have thought, for Carlton.
There's no doubt about that, but they've got it covered. But Martin is an emergency. It's really interesting that they haven't gone with the second ruckman, given how small they are on the forward line.
They've used Jack Silvani at times, really.
They did,
Jack of all trades, really.
But he can't change jumpers tonight to play for Dogs.
I think maybe like a Zane Cordy has done it on occasions. Or
yeah, he did it last week, so maybe he'll do it again.
English wins down the tap for the Bulldogs, but Hewitt's onto it. Hand pass to Doherty, bursts out of the middle of the ground. Good smother by Dunkley. Trying to charge through was Hewitt. Over the footy, Liberatore, and now Doherty. They try and rip it clear. Liberatore eventually gets it clear. Kennedy's hand pass, can't clear the congestion. Dunkley lays another good tackle on Matt Kennedy. And Adam Treloar's on the bottom of the pack. Eventually they do clear it through Dunkley. Squeeze the kick towards half forward. Zach Williams tries to tap it to the advantage of Setterfield. He gathers and kicks a high ball towards half forward. Dale underneath it. In the end, takes an uncontested mark for the Bulldogs. And he releases from half back.
The All-Australian half back kicks to Liberatore, who takes the mark in the centre square. Swings his kick out to Smith, who marks on the high half-forward flank, swings a hand pass inside to Vandermeer. He feeds it to Ugle-Hagan. Jamara bends it through from the pocket. And they come from every corner of the ground to rub his head. Jamara Ugle-Hagan threads it off a single step. The man long promised, the number 1 pick at the start of last season, playing just his 7th game. And the Bulldogs hit the front for the first time tonight. 11 minutes in, they're 2 straight. Carlton 1 straight. Nick Moldhouse, Brett Delidio.
Absolutely an outstanding set-up goal for a start off. Once the ball's marked in the half-back line, the use of the football was outstanding. No one blazed away. The hand pass out to our Ugle-Hagan's, the goal kicker. The ability for him, he'd already summed up where the goals were, and he made sure he had great connection without worrying about goals and ball. That's when you lose it. He had a quick look earlier. Fantastic goal.
Bulldogs hit the front for the first time tonight after back-to-back goals. Cripps gets the clearance of Carlton. Hand pass to Hewitt, who feeds it back to Setterfield. Kicks towards half forward. Durden was outmanoeuvred by Richards, who takes the mark for the Dogs. Turns and kicks on the 45. Finds Adam Treloar at left half back.
Brett, they looked so different than last week.
The Dogs.
They look so different.
Sharper, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Looking to kick around the dock swing. McGovern flies from behind, brings it down against Bailey Dale and Waitman. Sees it out of play for a boundary throw in. The Bulldogs 2 straight 12, Carlton 1 straight 6. 12 minutes gone, opening turn.
0437 774 774. Love to have you along for the ride again tonight. If you want to contribute on the SMS. The boundary throw in. English over the back, palms it down. Libber on hands and knees. McRae comes in, lends a hand. Pack forms around him. Umpire Brett Roseberry says, I'll have it. And a ball up on the City wing. Dogs by 6 points. 2 goals to 1. From the restart, Cripps has it. He's locked up by Treloar and will do it all again. Logo City side. On the wing, English leaps high, palms it down. Treloar has it. Pack sits on him. We'll have a 4th go at it to try and clear the ball from that City wing at Docklands.
Shouldn't be too hard in Carlton. They played ordinary football the first quarter against Richmond last week, then they just took over.
So Carning down to Kennedy, back to Setterfield. Hand pass to Doherty, kicks towards Charlie Curnow. Already has 1 next to his name, gathers against the boundary. Eventually runs out of room as his hand pass is pushed over the boundary line by Corey Durden. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
You know, Michael Voss missing tonight. So too the Blues head of football, Brad Lloyd, and midfield coach Tim Clark. A familiar face on the bench helping out this week, Cade Simpson, the Carlton legend that Mick knows all too well.
English one down the tap, but straight to Cripps. He was dispossessed. Liberatore kicks to the wing. Vandermeer thought he was held when not in possession. He will get the free kick against Setterfield, and the Dogs take it centre wing.
How would he go on the bench, Mick? Cade Simpson?
Oh, well, if he's sharp, well, he will be, because he had to make do with a very light body. He knows the game, there's no doubt about that.
English on the wing, loops a hand pass to Daniel. He's kicked it out on the full again. It's not twice already in the first 13 minutes of the game. This is a 50-metre kick inside the forward 50, and out it goes. Forward pocket for the Bulldogs.
Normally goes to their foot there. I don't know. He sort of...
Anyway, inside out it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
McGovern takes the free for Carlton. He goes all the way back to the last line of defence to Newman. He's the oldest player in the Carlton team at 29, Nick Newman. He goes short to Wiedering. Wiedering chips it back to Newman. The former Swan, that raking left boot, great kick to Doherty, who leaps up, can't complete the mark. English knocks it out of his hands, 60 out, he's kicked and smothered by Doherty. Great second effort, gets it away to Setterfield, who kicks wide to Cripps, and he's got it defensive side of the City wing.
Spotted Fogarty in the middle of the ground, hit him, and now the Blues are away. Long kick, Pitnet's gone forward. Great work getting back was Cordy. Silvani, they will run into the open goal and put through the Blues second. We're all locked up after 14 minutes, 2 straight apiece, and Carlton on the break were able to capitalise there with Jack Silvani getting on the end of it.
Well, that was a brave kick by Paddy Cripps, wasn't it? Coming back into the middle. Without that kick, biting off a little bit more, the ability to go inside. He's not renowned for his laser-like passing by foot, Paddy Cripps. He's beautiful with his hands, but that kick was spot on to Fogarty and then over the back. Not a bad effort to defend by Cordy, but Silvani working back inside forward 50, gets on the end of it, gets the Blues second.
What I said before about Carlton playing all the way up the ground, you've got to think about what are their tactics, what's the outcome of this. It's probably evident after that one. They've taken up, I reckon, because the Dogs do play very aggressively on their back line, they play in front, so maybe, just maybe, they think if we can get in behind them, and that's exactly what took place.
Entertaining start, 2 straight 12 apiece. Pitnet down to Cripps. He links up with Walsh, who then turns and kicks out of the centre square. Big fly at centre half forward. Both Dogs went up. Spills to Giray. He's tackled by De Koning. Umpire says ball up. 40 metres out from the Carlton goal. It's a Dogs home game, but you can hear the roar when Carlton have kicked a early couple. De Koning. Down to Kennedy off a single step, kicks to the top of the goal square. Mackay flies, Fogarty at the drop, he missed his boot with the ball. He had a goal waiting for him and it just trickled through off the side of his boot for a minor. Carlton 2-1, the Dogs 2 straight. Second lead change in the opening quarter. We've travelled 16 minutes.
Ed Richards looks to bring the Dogs back into play, kicks to Cordy, who marks it right half back. A couple of metres on Fogarty. Now where to for Cordy. Call to play on. Drives a long kick down the wing. Norton's a marking target. Reaches up. Can't complete the mark. Crashing through the pack was Vandermeer. Wrapped up by Sard, but in his back. In fact, it was Scott who takes the free kick. Hand pass quickly to Crozier. Sends it long towards Bontempelli, who's gone forward. McDonald almost juggled the mark. He did. It's been paid it. 3 bites of the cherry. Enough to convince the umpire that he had enough of it.
His brother Tom, obviously a premiership player against the Bulldogs last year. This is Oscar McDonald across the goal face to Newman. Oh, he chipped short off a step. Got to Walsh off the fingertips of Bontempelli. Blues under pressure in defensive 50. Walsh back to Newman and he swings a kick wide to Wiedering. They'll slow things down at half back. Wiedering spears his kick along the boundary line to Silvani. Takes the mark for Carlton. He also heads further afield along the boundary line to Mackay. Up to halfway now, City wing. Turns and gives it a whack for Carlton. 60 metres down to De Koning. De Koning clever. Knocks it back inboard to Kennedy. Kennedy snaps a goal. On the outside of the right boot. And big Tom De Koning, with the pack forming around him, just knocked it to his teammates' advantage and Kennedy was able to do the rest. Carlton with their third. The Blues 3-1-19, the Western Bulldogs 2 straight 12. It's Carlton by 7.
Well, it's just a worry right now, that ball going, once it gets inside the front 50, Carlton look like they've got the capacity to score.
Yeah.
And I reckon and they're moving the ball quick in there, but it's lack of size in one and it's lack of pace in the other, the Dogs, which they're normally very good at that. They're normally able to get their numbers back, but I reckon Carlton are taking him up the ground and then getting back quick, which means the midfield are getting trapped in front of the defenders who have to get back. So it's a good tactic. The Dogs, they'll work this out, but they've got to work it out pretty quick.
Mick Moldhouse and Brett Delidio with you on Grandstand AFL. Caught into the ruck against De Koning, who's taking a breather. Tim English got it down to the advantage of Walsh, who feeds the hand pass to O'Brien on the wing. Rushes a kick inside 50. Owies came charging out. Couldn't take the mark though for Carlton. Richards for the Bulldogs to Liberatore. Knocked it on to Daniel. He can't link up with Crozier, and now Owies is over the top. The Blues try and lock it up with Kennedy in there as well. Eventually the ball does roll clear. Swooping onto it, Owies. 50 out. Kicks to the lead of Harry Mackay. Hard to stop there as the Blues burst from the stoppage or the congested play. And Big Harry, who just kicked the 1 goal last week. A chance to get on the board early here.
Not conventional by the look of his setup just here, Clinchy. Likes the round the corner, the big fella. How good was that delivery, though, from Owies? I like Owies, Durden, young fellas.
The Coleman medalist from last year, couple of steps, snaps across his body, and Carlton have 2 in quick succession. 2 in 2 minutes to open up a 13-point advantage. 4-1-25 to the Bulldogs, 2 straight 12.
I like the return of the little bloke, Mick. The little bloke who can put on pressure, but it's got speed. And I'm talking of Owies, Durden. They brought in Fogarty, Fisher's down there as well. They can get in and around and hunt around the packs, but then their ability to get away as well and then deliver like we just saw them.
Yeah.
But it's just playing into the hands of how they're setting up, isn't it? They're trying to play up the ground with speed and get back and then beat them out and beat the Dogs out the back. So it's working for them at the moment. The key will be to keep winning the footy.
Yeah, getting back or getting right forward and having a big gap in front. It's very hard to stop a lead like that. There's no sin on the key back there, because what does he do? Stand in front, stand behind. You've got him cooked. If you've got the football in your hands, you've got them cooked.
They went 7-0 from centre breaks in the final quarter against Richmond Carlton. They're currently 4-1 centre clearances in this game so far.
They're smashing with stats too, though, with possession rate.
They've kicked the last 3. The Blues after falling behind from the restart in the middle. First touch for Treloar. Hand pass to McRae. Kicks to the City wing. Hannon went back with one hand. Couldn't quite come down with it. Just knocks it away to the advantage of Hunter, who's tackled. Taken to ground on a ball up between wing and half forward for the Bulldogs.
Sam Walsh, first game back. I think he's leading the touches, is he?
Yeah, wasted no time. He's on 8.
DeConing palms it down. Here's Durden. In fact, it was Hewitt got a hand pass away to Fogarty. He gives it to O'Brien and then off to Walsh. Kicks to centre half forward. Mackay takes the mark. Hand pass through to Curnow, who slips over. A certain goal goes begging for the Blues. And the Dogs come up with it. Keith grabs it. He's wrapped up. Centre half back for the Bulldogs. The ball pinballs around in there. A pack of around 15 players, and the umpire eventually says, I'll have it. A ball up, 40 out from the Carlton goal. Momentum with the Blues.
The Dogs had the next extra number in that marking contest but couldn't impact it. Such the reach of Harry Mackay. Crozier, his clearing kick for the Dogs only as far as O'Brien on 50. Long towards Harry! He's got it again!
Free kick.
But he's given away the free kick. Gardner to take it for the Western Bulldogs.
I don't know why he would do that, because Gardner's not renowned for being an offensive player.
Runs his full measure. Waitman tries to fly from behind. He couldn't get to the front. And DeConing takes the mark. Blues have it at left half forward. He can go short boundary side where Kennedy takes the mark. The Dogs have pushed all but 3 or 4 players inside their defensive 50. Tough one for Charlie Curnow, who flew in the pack. Can't take the mark. Crozier slides in. Silvani careful not to get him over the shoulder. And the umpire will toss it up 25 metres out from the Carlton goal. Blues lead by 13 points.
Massive pressure. Carlton have been terrific in the last 5 minutes.
Blues have kicked the last 3 of the game. And Silvani swats it down, passing through Fisher, went without it. Still live, 20 out from the Blues goal. McRae picks it up, his kick smothered. Still back pocket for the Bulldogs. Crozier, hand pass away to Dunkley. High up and under, exits defensive 50. They all miss it. Bounces on the turf, down to Hunter. Tackled by McGovern, gets a hand pass out to Scott. Sweeps one forward 30 metres. Oh, Waitman, great footwork. Gets rid of the defender. Hand pass to Treloar. 2 bounces. Runs to 30 out. To finish on the run, Treloar pops it through. Great team footy from the Bulldogs. And Cody Waitman with a special setup for the Dogs number 1. The Bulldogs move to 3 straight 18. Carlton a 4-1-25. They cut the Blues lead to 7. 23 travelled opening term. Brett Delidio and Mick Malthouse on Grandstand AFL.
Well, if you're the Carlton coaching group there, you'd be disappointed that's gone from D50 and transition the length of the field when Carlton have had 2 players sitting up behind the ball. Nick Newman made the call to come forward but didn't kill the footy. Hit the ground. It allowed them just to get it out. It was a crucial ball just to feed that out. I reckon it was Lockie Hunter. Got it out, and then Waitman won the next one as it's running it in front of him. steps inside, and Treloar just had a panic at that stage.
I know, been watching footy for a long time. For consistency, I've never seen a player better than Treloar who can run from outside 50 through 50 and kick a goal. He does it. Well, he loves it, but he does it so often.
Mick Malthouse and Brett Delidio with you on Grandstand AFL. English one down the tap, ricocheted off Bontempelli, back to English, long towards Jamara Ugelhagen. He flew, can't take the mark. Wiedering taps it away from Norton. Gave Sarr a run at it. He gathers in the left back pocket, kicks up to the wing, hit at the target, almost held onto the mark, couldn't do so. Dale a bit worse for wear as a result. A chance still for the Blues as the hand pass comes to Cripps. Good link up by Fogarty. He looks towards half forward, kicks off his shin, puts it out on the full. So he is human, Paddy Cripps.
I've never seen him kick left foot successfully. I don't think he's got a left foot.
I think you can make that assessment after that effort. Off Carlton by 7.
I think the umpire's overturned this somehow. It's going to be a free kick
pushing the
Cripps.
Was it?
Oh, was it?
Jeez. So the boundary umpire ruled it was out on the full, and then the field umpires come in and said,
Bontempelli with a late bump, but geez.
That's because he's fallen forward. I don't agree with that.
Bontempelli was on his way to collect the footy, and after that decision he thought, Paddy, you can go and get that yourself. So after Cripps has collected the ball, kicks to the hot spot, 15 out from Carlton's goal, spills down the Dogs' way. Libber, hand pass away to English, just surge kick out of defence, but straight to McDonald, who marks inside the centre circles for Carlton. Blues by 7. Oh, that's horrific off the boot. He kicked the ground as the ball trickles away out to the outer wing. Norton's onto it for the Dogs. His hand pass a turnover to Williams, to Walsh. He goes back to Williams and now out to Hewitt on the City wing.
He looks towards Charlie Curnow out on the lead. Juggled the mark almost. He got one across the shoulder anyway.
I reckon Norton was unlucky there that he got legged in that contest.
So Charlie Curnow has one goal already next to his name. Kicks to the pocket. Harry Mackay on the lead. Gardner right there with him. They both get underneath the ball and it rolls out of play in the right forward pocket for Carlton. 4-1-25 the Blues play the Western Bulldogs 3 straight 18.
Did you ever do that one, Mick? The kick in the ground when you went to kick?
I didn't get a lot of kicks, mate. I didn't waste him all I got him.
Toss back in to Koning. Got rid of English. Couldn't take possession though. Liberatore got it to Treloar. McRae run down. Cripps got him. Holding the footy. Great second half effort from Paddy Cripps. As Jack McRae thought he'd burst from the congestion. He was just about to get boot to ball.
That's one thing I really have noticed in the first few weeks that I've been watching the Blues play is their ability in their forward half to put pressure on. I feel like it's really lifted. It's something they've really made a key focus area.
Well, that'd be Michael Voss. He's always hard, wanting hard players to play hard football. So,
Paddy Cripps, who kicked 3 goals last week with his 30 disposals against the Tigers. Cripps comes in, looking to lead by example as he drives through the Blues' 5th goal. And what a great way to follow up after his work around the stoppage to establish a 13-point lead once more. 5-1-31 the Blues to the Western Bulldogs 3 straight 18. Play 26 minutes in the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Mate, I'm looking over your shoulder. Is it stats in possession 93 to 57? I think it is something like that. That's a domination by Carlton. That is a lot of possessions.
And the Dogs usually have high possessions, don't they? They like to flick it around.
They do. But inside 50s, remarkably, is 12 to 11, and that is Carlton's way. So there's not a lot in it. It's just Carlton are very, very efficient in front of goal, and that's because I reckon an undermanned Bulldogs line. I guess they have to worry how they get Tim O'Brien. I suppose he's one that can come back in there.
Carlton by 13 points, 5 goals to 3. Pitnet palms it down to Hewitt. Hand pass to Cripps, and they're going forward out of the centre again. Kicks to half forward. Curnow traps it on the half volley, goes to ground, then dispossessed. He threw it out. And the tackle from Keith and a free kick for the Dogs in the defensive 50. And Alex Keith will go wide with the kick to Richards.
Probably need to get one back before quarter time because they've worked pretty well, the Dogs.
Richards along the boundary line. He turns it over. Kicks it to Hunter and Sard floats through, takes the intercept mark. So Carlton's going back inside 50. That raking left boot to Mackay just over his head. Pitches inside the field of play and goes out on the hop. So a boundary throw-in. Forward pocket for the Blues.
Yeah, we were very lucky there. Mackay was up against a halfback flanker, so he had everything in his. I don't know where Keith was.
Just misread it in the flight, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Toss back into play. Carlton deep in attack. English in front. Coney tried to tap it down. Treloar first onto it, trying to link back up with English. And it's across the boundary line for a throw-in. Still 40 metres out from the Carlton goal. It outs the Blues way, 17-8. Clearance is 13-8.
Well, the Dogs have got 2 extra at this ball, or certainly 1 and 1 extra at the goal square, so they've got it well covered.
Shallow throw in to Coney, trying to take it out of the ruck. He was tackled and dispossessed. Treloar with the hand pass, got it to McRae. Around the boundary line, Bontempelli dragged down, got it away to Hunter. Back to Treloar, back to Hunter. He's tackled and brought down. Great follow-up effort from Hewitt. Just able to squeeze a kick towards half forward with Scott. But they'll be coming back as McGovern takes the mark and got rid of Hannon. Kicks the hand pass to Pitnett.
Gives to Doherty and goes back to Zach Williams on the back flank and says just pump the brakes. Half hour mark, opening term, Carlton 5-1, the Dogs 3 straight. Blues by 13 points as he goes back to Doherty. And back to Williams. They trade 20-metre drop punts and now a short kick to Kennedy, all in a triangle at half back.
This accounts for a lot of extra possessions from not a lot of gain.
Kennedy swings it out wide to Wiedering. Short kicking game continues, chips it down the line, and Mackay with a bit of pressure marks in front of Keith. He's right on halfway, City wing. Blues by 13 points, have been trailed by a goal earlier in the quarter. Long kick to half forward. Gardner comes over the back, spoils, but straight down to Cripps, who lost his strides in the tackle. Spills to Durden, hand pass to Pitnett, he gives it to Setterfield, kicks inside 50 for Carlton. 2 Dogs leap up, they spoil, it bounces and is helped through on the goal line by Daniel. A minor score, Carlton 5-2. The Bulldogs are 3 straight, 31 minutes into the opening term, and Carlton have had 42 more disposals than the Dogs. Mitch Cleary is on the boundary. Mitch.
Patrick Cripps just bleeding below his neck, the blood streaming down his face. So not a good sign after that big one, but he's just coming off now to get repaired.
Thanks, Mitch. Mitch Cleary on the boundary as Paddy Cripps makes his way off. Caleb Daniel wants to bring the Dogs back into play. Umpire calls him to move it on, so Daniel charges 5 or 6 metres forward and asks a little bit of Dale. He gathers just inside the boundary, running onto it, gets the hand pass to Hunter and now feeds the hand pass to McRae. Back to Dale, spat out of the tackle from Setterfield. Fired a bullet kick back inside the defensive 50 and it's taken by Gardner. He can work it by foot over the top to Treloar and centre half back. Now out to the right half back wing where Ed Richards can gather. He looks up on a long lead as Vandermeer. He marks it right half forward. The Dogs have worked hard to get it to here. Can they try and capitalise? Norton's deep at the top of the goal square with Wiedering. Vandermeer goes very short to English, lucky to be paid 15. And now English looks to go another short pass. And McRae, this isn't paid 15. Turns and kicks inside the 50. Scott charging in from stage right. Just propelled himself forward and held onto it like a great gully fielder. Claimed it on his chest and the Bulldogs will get a shot on goal late in this opening quarter.
Yeah, well orchestrated. They didn't waste the ball at all. I know we called a couple of times there, was it 15? Doesn't matter. The last one wasn't. It was called play on. But the forward line was open and they were able to move through the forward line.
Kicked 10 goals last season. Anthony Scott, as he comes in, he's able to complete the Bulldog deed. A crucial goal just before quarter time to close the margin back into 8 points Carlton's way. 5-2-32 to the Bulldogs 4 straight 24. 32 minutes gone. You just wonder the lessons from last week against Melbourne, whether the Western Bulldogs have realised they can't kick long every time, especially without the firepower there.
Well, that was a great example of the best teams and their foot skills, wasn't it?
Yep.
Like, they were pinpoint nearly the whole way down the ground there. I know that second last one wasn't called 15, as you alluded to, Mick, but even that last kick was a dart, wasn't it? It wasn't a bomb in where the big key defenders in Wiedering and Oscar McDonald can come in and try and collect it.
Exactly. Well, they're still 30 possessions short, but they've gone inside almost the same number of times. So 15 to 12, so it's not quite. Is it 15 to 12? I'm sorry, it's 15 to 12, so it's not quite as many, but they've made use of it.
Cripps leading possession getter on the ground with 12. Bontempelli's had just 2 touches as we near in on quarter time. Back in the middle, McRae, hand pass over his shoulder. Kennedy trickles a kick about 15 metres, but Daniel picks it off for the Bulldogs. Hand pass away to Treloar, runs the wing, kicks inside 50, and Norton marks on the bell. His direct opponent in Jacob Wiedering slipped over, and Norton was able to hug it to his chest uncontested. He'll shoot from 20 out, just right of centre.
Well, the reason why he slipped over, because they were in a grabbing match, and Wiedering was trying to stop him from leading onto the ball, so Norton held his ground and then pushed off. I reckon that would, so he's trying to grab hold of his arm. That's why he's gone over.
This will be one hell of an end of the quarter after being down by 13. The Dogs to kick 2 in a minute to end the turn. Norton's hit the post. Gee, he should have done better than from there. 25 out, virtually straight in front, and Norton hits the post. Makes it a 7-point game at quarter time. Carlton a 5-2-32. The Bulldogs 4-1-25. A 7-point lead for the Baggers. 1 each for Silvani, Kennedy, Cripps, Mackay and Curnow. While for the Bulldogs, 1 to Treloar, Jamari Ugelhagen, Anthony Scott and Tim English. Carlton by 7. Quarter time on Grandstand AFL. The Blues 5-2-32. The Dogs are 4-1-25 on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Hi, I'm Scruffy. Look into my eyes.
We've all been dazzled by a cute pooch, but how well do we really know our dogs?
Dogs have undergone an amazing journey from wolf to our best friend.
ABC News Breakfast's Tony Armstrong presents a new series taking us inside the minds of our doggy friends.
Canine science is allowing us to understand our dogs' personalities.
A Dog's World with Tony Armstrong. Tuesday nights on ABC TV or log in to stream on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Got a big knee up and one down the opening tap. Got the hand pass to Cripps. Here go the Blues through Walsh. Got it to Fisher by hand to Hewitt to left half forward. Hand pass to Lockie O'Brien. Hacks the kick inside the 50. Charlie Curnow plays on. Snaps on the right boot. The dream start.
Liberatore, who takes the mark in the centre square, swings his kick out to Smith, who marks on the high half forward flank, swings a hand pass inside to Vandermeer. He feeds it to Ugelhagen. Jamara bends it through from the pocket. Mackay up to halfway now, City wing. Turns and gives it a whack for Carlton. 60 metres down to DeConey. DeConey clever. Knocks it back inboard to Kennedy. Kennedy snaps a goal. Scott sweeps one forward 30 metres. Oh, Waitman, great footwork. Gets rid of the defender. Hand pass to Treloar. 2 bounces. Runs to 30 out. To finish on the run, Treloar pops it through.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Dave off the SMS. Hi team, I'm listening from beautiful South Australia and go the Blues. Hand the Dogs their second loss. That's from Dave. And from Rory in Reservoir says, I'm a blind listener, love your commentary. So good to see stadiums in Victoria able to hold matches at 100% capacity after 2 years of disruptions. Great reward for everyone's hard work. Nice to hear from you, Rory. And great to have you with us off the SMS. The number is 0437 774 774. The cricket, it is day 4. We've just started the second session from Lahore. And Australia are 1 for 157 at the moment. So 1 for 157 in their second dig. It means the lead is currently 280. Khawaja on 71 and Labuschagne is there on 32. Tonight, the Socceroos up against Japan. That starts in 15 minutes, our World Cup qualifier. And we're about 15 minutes away as well from the start between the Dragons and the Sharks in the NRL. Mick Malthouse and Brett Delidio are here, and at quarter time, it's Carlton by 7 over the Bulldogs.
Yeah, well, I think that you'd be pretty pleased if you're a Carlton supporter. So Bossy sitting back, he'll be no doubt tuning into the ABC, getting the commentary, but also watching the game. He'd be pretty pleased with what he's seeing so far. I think they're getting the game relatively on their terms and how they would have planned for it, I think, during the week. But for the Dogs, they bounced back there late, didn't they, Mick? And their ability to hit the scoreboard, they could be only a couple of points down if Norton doesn't hit the post there. But Sam Walsh, for him to come back, what's he had, 10 touches straight in, been out for the last 4 or 5 weeks with that syndesmosis injury, just has not missed. But the start of Paddy Cripps, I know it's been masked as the Bontempelli v Cripps. Paddy Cripps, it surprises me that the Dogs don't ever try and run with anyone, given that you know what a player's going to be able to do. Last week we saw it in Petrarca. This week we know Cripps is probably going to be one of the best midfielders. I think I know which way you would have gone, Mick, given I played against your teams.
Well, I'm just looking at, say, the midfield. You've got Cripps on 12, Walsh 10, Kennedy 9, Hewitt's got 8 or thereabouts.
8, yep.
Treloar has run free, so he's had his 11 and been very good, kicked a goal. McRae's run free, had his 10. English 9, been outstanding. Josh Dunkley, to me, is tailor-made to win the ball in tight.
Yep.
Paddy Cripps is basically an inside tight player. If he starts to run the football, you know he's in trouble. Now, we know he's run it once already here. But why not put him inside on him and say, righto, you go head-to-head, but it's your will against him. Yeah. Now, that means that Paddy Cripps doesn't get these hand passes out that gets Walsh and gets these other players going. So I for the life of me, can't understand that. Now, he went in last week, Dunkley, and I sat on Petrarca for about 20 minutes. Petrarca hardly touched it. And in the next quarter, he wasn't there. So he's in there at the moment, but he seems to be standing next to Kennedy, does he?
Yeah.
Am I right in reading that? Yeah.
I reckon.
So I don't know whether Kennedy's the player for him. It's more a Cripps, the way I see it.
Is Bontempelli still worried with that ankle? That's my biggest concern, having only 2 in the first quarter. Doesn't look to be moving his best.
Carlton by 7 points. Second quarter action underway, and again a crooked bounce in the middle. Umpire recalls that.
So let's see what Dunkley does here. See if he does go to someone. He looks like he's all over Kennedy.
Hit-outs to advantage 8-zip in the opening quarter Carlton's way, and Pitternet palms it down here, eventually gets it to Hewitt. Pack forms around him, and the ump says, I'll have it back.
Interesting. Even that stoppage there, no one fell out the back where Carlton can break free.
English swats it down. Fisher, fingertips on it. Spills in front of Walsh and Cripps has his jumper tugged. He'll get the free. Mitch told us about that cut that he'd had. He's returned and looking like a rugby union player with his head taped up. He'll get the free kick on the outer edge of the centre square. Kicks a high bomb inside 50. They all miss it. Comes back to DeConey and he's wrapped up by Gardner. Pack forms over the pair. Ump lets them go. Still loose footy bottom of the pack and eventually says, I'll have it. Ball up 30 out from the Carlton goal.
Big Harry's run under the ball a couple of times here. I just wonder whether he needs a few high balls kicked at him in the next break.
Takes it out of the ruck here. Feeds it to Sam Walsh, trying to snap across his body. Got the middle part of the foot in. It lands in the front row. Carlton found marks on his chest.
We did talk a bit on Friday night about the new LED lights. Maybe that's sort of catching him by surprise a little bit, Nick.
Well, maybe. I think it's a good excuse.
First time here this year.
Dale long out of defence for the Western Bulldogs. Finds to Ray, who takes the mark at right half back. Advances it by foot. Up to the middle of the wing where Lockie Hunter takes the mark.
Might need Mason Cox's sunnies to be able to shield from the lights.
Well,
help him out.
They're free this week, aren't they?
Did it help him?
Hunter long towards Jamara. Couldn't take the mark. McGovern span into traffic. He's locked up by Bontempelli and Waitman, and the umpire will throw it up 60 metres out from the Bulldogs' goal. Couple of minutes.
There's a classic reason why 5 metres off the mark gives you a chance to actually catch the bloke on the way through instead of standing like a mannequin.
Pitternet palms it down to Fisher, halfback for the Blues, shoots a hand pass towards the boundary line. Hunter keeps it alive for the Bulldogs, gives it to Treloar. He's tackled by Cripps, ball stays alive. Pack develops. Umpire Hayden Gavine says holding the ball. Everyone looks at him as to which way that's going. Richards tucked it in according to the ump, and a free kick to the Blues, and they'll take it on the back flank through Hewitt. He goes back and across, and Sard marks on the back flank.
Short to McGovern, who takes the mark just inside the defensive 50. Thought about the hand pass back to Sard. Waitman, good pressure, got a hand to it. Ricochets to the defensive 50 where Oscar McDonald picks it back up for Carlton and Newman. Almost caught by Waitman. They've got the loose number though. Back to Oscar McDonald. Under pressure to Wiedering. He takes the mark up against the boundary in the right half back line.
Well done, Waitman. Really well done. Went from player to player to he put some pressure on.
Trying to force a turnover. As Mackay comes up on a long lead, he marks centre wing in front of the two benches. Sidesteps around Waitman. Then drives a kick towards Pitnet, who's gone forward, or De Koning. De Koning in front. Hand pass to Cripps, to Walsh, to Bontempelli, who charged into him. Cripps somehow got back on the end of it. The umpires penalised Carlton for holding the footy. Just one hand pass too many in tight confinement, and Marcus Bontempelli will take the free kick 40 metres out from his defensive goal.
We're 3 minutes into the second quarter. This is just possession 3 for the Bont. A short drop punt to Treloar on the back flank. He goes shorter still to Liberatore. Centre half back for the Western Bulldogs. Dangerous kick from one back flank to the other. Dale spills a mark he should have taken. Silvani picks it up. Unguarded goal square, but misfires. Out to the left and behind. Nervy moments for the Dogs exiting defensive 50. Carlton by 8 points early in the second.
Yeah, he had that spent. Absolutely.
For a side that's normally so good with their disposal, the Dogs have been ordinary tonight as Dale kicks for English. The shorter Fogarty was able to get up there and get a hand to it and spoil it out of play. English was caught waiting for the footy. And Fogarty attacked it and spoiled it out of play. Carlton by 8 points. Just a behind scored so far through the opening 4 minutes of this second quarter. Cripps on Dunkley, pushed off him. Pitnet took it out of the right. Hand pass to Fisher, to Williams inside 50. Low ball, Durden's hand pass to Fogarty. Back to Cripps for number 2. Snaps on the right boot. He is an unstoppable force at the moment. 15 disposals and 2 goals. Goodness me. If he played last year with a severe back injury, that fractured back, well, look out this year. Season 2022, the Blues lead by 14 points, 6-3-39 to the Bulldogs, 4-1-25.
Well, you called it, Clinchy. Here at the stoppage, Dunkley was trying his best to wrap up Cripps and stop him from getting his run at the footy. He didn't win the clearance for starters, but he didn't follow him up close enough and didn't stick to his task. He let him get forward, and as all good players say, well, if you're going to try and stop me, I'm going to test you out and I'm going to go forward. And as he did, got on the end of it, and a terrific finish. He's really added that to his game this year, his ability to finish.
I just don't see, you don't have to tag by being next to the player. You can tag in a netting position, so you're almost facing the same, you're facing him face on where the ball is, so when the ball does fall, you actually got momentum up. When you stand next to a bloke, he can easily push you away.
Back in the middle, Carlton by 14, a new game high. Walsh hand pass to Kennedy. High kick out of the centre square, but Richards back with the flight marks in front of Fogarty, so the Dogs back with it. Hits up Bontempelli at centre half back. Hand pass releases Dunkley. Kicks through the centre square. Waitman the target. McGovern spoils. Down to Doherty. Carlton back the other way. Long kick to Cripps. Lifts a hand pass over Duray. Ollie's runs onto it. Short kick to Mackay. And Harry Mackay marks against the boundary line, right forward pocket.
As you mentioned before too, Brett, he likes these sort of shots where he can stand.
Yeah. It's the norm now, isn't it?
Coleman medalist in a bottom 10 team.
If he comes off the mark, this umpire's got to give the man on the mark a chance. This is where I think the rule, it's a shocking rule anyway, but it makes it worse when the umpire is slow at moving it.
He can swing it around off his preferred left boot and curls it home. Carlton in rhythm. The Blues lead it by 20. 6.5 into the second term. Carlton 7-3-45. The Western Bulldogs 4-1-25. 7 minutes into the second quarter. Carlton by 20.
I know Carlton have got to kick the goals, and they've kicked the last 2 goals. There's no question they've been good goals. One was from the stoppage that Cripps was able to get away from Dunkley, follow up his work, and then finish off. This one here came about because of a bad kick in the middle of the ground. It was intercepted. You know, we talk about this thing about that you've got to give a bit to take a bit. I don't work on that theory. If it's too dangerous, it's too dangerous. You're better off being in control of the ball than trying to create something in the second quarter. So that kick to Waitman was always going to be under pressure. And as it turned out, it yo-yo's back and all of a sudden it's a goal for Carlton.
Alarm bells going off everywhere for Luke Beveridge. 5 clearances, 5 inside 50s for the Blues. Eventually Dunkley gets the clearance for the Dogs. Hand pass to Treloar, had a fumble under pressure from Walsh. His kick is smothered. It comes to Kennedy for the Blues. To Cripps, hand pass to Walsh. He wants to feed it wider, still to O'Brien on the wing. Links up with Fisher, left half forward, looks inside the 50 to Koning on the lead. He's got it. Coming back with a flight was Cordy, who would have given away the free kick. Carlton take the advantage, and it doesn't matter. Everything's turning to gold. As Owie snaps from the left forward pocket. They're not even waiting for the free kicks to be taken. They're running hot at the moment. The Blues 7-3-45 to the Bulldogs 4-1-25. Make that 8-3-51 to 4-1-25. 26 points is Carlton's lead.
Well, that come about, Mick, from this swarm tactic and the way they're trying to defend the ground now. The Blues, their ability to attack the guy with the ball, they swamped Adam Treloar there. Then all the other Bulldogs, mids and players had spread, thinking that this ball's coming inside 50, but no one came back to the ball. They left the poor old Adzi Treloar on the island, as Dimmer used to say, and they just went the length of the ground then, didn't they? It was a great grab by Tom de Koning. The little Owies has just picked it up and snapped it through from the bench. I'm not sure that was any play.
That was out. That was out. It's okay to say it's a good goal, but that was out of bounds.
They've kicked 7 goals to 2, Carlton, after falling behind in the opening term. Free kick for a ruck infringement in the middle. The Dogs go forward, but on the end of it is Zach Williams, who can just pump it back out of defensive 50 up to the wing. Cripps knocks it away from Dale. Cripps onto it, spun around, hand pass to half forward. Durden collects on the bounce, hand pass to Fogarty, feeds it to Curnow. Another one coming up, another one sails through. Curnow with his second, and the Blues cannot be stopped. 9-3 to 4-1. Carlton by 32 points. This lead is ballooning. Grandstand AFL, Mick Malthouse and Brett Deledio, the Blues by 32.
Well, we'd mentioned before the game that Curnow and Mackay can kick goals, given the dominance of their midfield of last week. They didn't go near it last week. They've kicked 4 between them already. Different types of goal. Curnow's kicked 2 from general play. Mackay's kicked his 2, I think, from have been from marks or free kicks. The dominance of the ball from half back and almost not being touched is a major concern by the Dogs. They're not somewhere along the middle. They're just not being able to hold the play up, and Carlton have just been dominant.
4 goals in 10 minutes to start this second quarter. McRae gets the clearance for the Western Bulldogs, kicks out to the city wing. Silvani slipped over. Hunter comes charging out and takes the mark. Wants to kick it over the top to Hannon, who kept running. He now veers out on the left and plays on. Kicks inside 50. Norton the target at the back. Scott up there. Just couldn't quite hang on. Williams over round the footy. A chance for Liberatore. Too slow getting rid of it. Bontempelli. Hand pass to Ugelhagen. Snaps on the left and just misses to the right-hand side. Right over the top of the right goalpost as the goal umpire sat right underneath it. Carlton leading by 31 points.
Blues with 4 unanswered goals to start this second term. Williams goes on a stroll from the kick out. Perfect placement onto the chest of Kennedy. Hits him up on the drop punt. Kennedy goes lateral. Out to Setterfield, still on the back flank. Back inboard to Williams.
3 ex-Giants boys all looking after each other.
Williams didn't quite connect on that. Got it to McDonald eventually. Closed down by Wiedemann. Hand pass to Newman. Kicks it back wide to McDonald. Still trapped in their defensive third. McDonald kicks into the man on the mark. Ricochets off the hands of Liberatore. Chases out after it along with McDonald. McDonald goes to ground. The footy stays alive. Scott picks it up for the Bulldogs. Hand pass back to McRae. Wanted a free for in the back. Doesn't get it. And in the end, Silvani trying to receive the hand pass. The ball's out of play, so we're throwing 70 out from the Bulldogs' goal. 9-3 to 4-2. Carlton by 31 points. They've kicked the last 4 in the game.
Toss back in. Hannum doing the ruck work against de Koning. Couldn't get a clear tap away. Bontempelli read it best. Hand pass to Hunter. To Daniel. Turns to his right. Squeeze the kick inside 50. Jamari Ugelhagen in front. Fully stretched vertically in front, but Norton's going to get a free kick.
That was a great mark by Ugelhagen. Really good mark. Come up from outside the back, spot in front of the front, and his leap was outstanding. But I don't know how. I guess he was Shepherd
in the marking.
Yeah,
but it's always the bugbear. If the player takes the mark, let him have the shot.
I agree. Let the mark override the free kick.
That being said, the free kick was before. My word, don't the Dogs need this? Aaron Norton, their spearhead, comes in and salutes. Their first goal since the 32-minute mark of the first quarter, where it seemed like they were going to finish the first quarter with a flurry. Norton hit the post, and since then, Carlton have gone bang, 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 bang. The Blues by 25 points. 9-3-57 to the Bulldogs, 5-2-32. 13 minutes gone, second term.
Well, it wasn't clean play, was it, Mick? It was a pretty scrap, built on the back of pressure, win the footy back. They manned the mark really well in that little passage of play and forced the Blues to try and invent something. So in those moments, I feel like as a defender, you need to just take your medicine and say, right, I'm dumping this down the line and we'll start again.
Yep.
The Blues tried to pinpoint a little bit. It gets turned over, but the Caleb Daniel kick just to a hot spot, nothing really inventive. And they were good enough to get a free kick out of it, or Ugle-Hagan actually took the mark.
Which gives them a little bit of confidence, the fact that another player can take a mark.
Positives on both fronts. Free kick in the middle again against Pitnet for a ruck infringement. Cordy gets the centre break, kicks to Norton, slips past him. McDonald back, collects top of the goal square for Carlton, goes wide to Setterfield. With marks in the back flank.
Oscar McDonald, when he's got the football, you wonder what's going to happen.
Hold your breath moments, you reckon, Mick?
Setterfield long down the line. Curnow running start, spills it out of play. Boundary throw in between wing and half forward for the Bulldogs. Dogs led this game by 6 points halfway through the opening quarter, and from that point on, Carlton have kicked 8 goals to 3. They led by 32 points moments ago. They currently lead it by 25.
Toss back in. Hannon used his good vertical leap to win the tap against Pitnet. Williams tackled. Don't think he got a hand pass away. Play on Sakor. Walsh feeds the hand pass back to Hewitt inside 50. Doherty so slick. Got it to Walsh and now to McGovern. Kicks out to the city wing. The foot race is on. Owies and Daniel race after it. Silvani got there first. It ricochets off Richards. It's that kind of night for the Blues. Hand pass to O'Brien. Kicks out to the run of Owies on the outer wing. Up to Big Harry. He takes the mark at left half forward. Mackay looks inside the 50, just over the head of Durden. Couldn't take the mark. Gardner went to ground though. Now he's got issues as Fogarty lays the tackle. The Dogs have the numbers. Rourke Smith works it back to Dale and down to McRae. Kicks across the defensive line, and the mark's taken by Hannon deep in the left back pocket.
Hannon comes wide to Waitman. With marks at half back against the boundary line.
This is where they've got no real system from here forward. It's breaking down.
The youngest member of their grand final team, Cody Waitman, kicks down the wing. Norton climbing from the back. Ugle-Hagan up in front. Neither mark. Spills to Kennedy. Hand pass to Hewitt. His handball missed Fogarty. Fogarty follows up. Sockers away from Norton, but straight to Richards. Dogs with it in the centre square. Hand pass to Daniel. He spun around. Got it away to Crozier. Drives it deep inside forward 50. They all miss it. Wiedering punches it back the other way. And it's centre half back. Carlton collect. Setterfield to Williams and away to Walsh.
He feeds the hand pass wider still to O'Brien. Centre of the Docklands up to Charlie Curnow. On the lead, he marks 55 out. Veers out to the right. Oh, he's just got forward. Harry Mackay in from the side takes the mark. Keith had the scenario no defender wants. 2-on-1. And in the end, the bigger Harry Mackay reached up and plucked the mark. He's only a metre out. And from point blank range, he'll put through his third. And immediately answer back after the Bulldogs goal. Harry puts it into the third tier. And Carlton immediately respond back to a 31-point advantage. 10-3-63 to the Bulldogs, 5-2-32. 17 minutes gone, second term. Brett Delidio and Mick Moldhouse with you.
Well, you're right, Mick. They're breaking down here from the half forward, the wing position, aren't they? Jamara and Norton have been forced to come so far up. Well, Jacob Werdering's like, okay, well, you can go up there. You're not kicking goals and you're going up to the wing. I know you've got to be the target. So he sat back, and it was the one who ended up having the clearing fist that gets it out. And their mids were just quick to work onto it. Setterfield, Walsh is there breaking through, O'Brien as well. Curnow on his bike, swinging out forward. And then Owies is probably unlucky. If he was a little bit taller, he might have get that one in the goal square. But Mackay's like, I'll pull rank here. I'm the big reigning Coleman medalist. I think I'll just grab this one.
Carlton dominating possession again in this quarter against the Bulldogs, plus 31 the Blues' way. Here's Hewitt on hands and knees, hands it to Cripps, a little fumble, but he gets it out to Walsh. Back edge of the centre square, hand pass to Doherty. Free kick. Well, it's coming all the way back to Treloar. The umpire standing there with Paddy Cripps, and gives it to Treloar, who lays it off by hand to Bailey Dale. Thumps it from 60 out. Ugelhagen tries to usher it through, and McDonald punches it through for a minor score, so a rush behind. Carlton a 10-3, the Bulldogs a 5-3. It's a 5-goal lead for Carlton at the 18-minute mark of the second term.
Williams brings the Blues back into play to Newman in the back pocket, who runs his full measure, gets to the defensive 50 arc and then drives a long kick up to the wing. Harry Mackay was out position. Keith worked him up under it. Came back to Mackay though. Kicks around the wing towards Silvani. Cleverly knocked it onto Cripps. They're out once more. Durden inside the 50. Fisher grabs it on the second bite. Almost bounced it off his chest. And he takes the mark slightly left of centre. He'll shoot from 40 metres out.
This is what I don't get about size, allowing the kicker from the point to be able to do what he wants, find targets, and then you have to defend from your back 50. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Why sides don't put a little bit of pressure? It's only while the kicker has got the ball in the goal square. Put pressure on each player, make him find a target.
Zach Fisher starts outside 50. As he comes in, shoots from about 45 metres out. It's a 6th goal in this second term. And the Blues now have a 36-point advantage. 11-3-69 to the Bulldogs. 5-3-33. The Blues have made their move.
Well, they made their move because there's been a lot of errors made by the Dogs. There's been a lack of attention to detail, I think, defensively. I can't understand. The kicker has got a man on him. I know the rule is a bit dumb. It's another one where you get penalised for kicking a point. You can't touch the player for about 30 metres. But nonetheless, you are allowed to stand on the mark, and when the umpire says play on, at least go to him, but then cover your next exit. It doesn't matter about the back 50, but the front 50, take away that first kick and make the kicker put the ball in the air. It defies logic to me that you can't defend that.
Carlton by 6 goals, a new game high. English palms it down. Here's McRae, gets the centre break for the Bulldogs to centre half forward. Pitches on the deck, spills to Liberatore, hooks a kick across his body, hooks it through for a goal.
Very good goal.
Quick reply for the Dogs. They need a few more of those. 21 minutes into this second term. The Bulldogs 6-3-39, Carlton 11-3-69. The Blues by 30 points, 21 travelled second quarter.
Brett, 78 to 43 possessions a game.
Yeah.
And most of those possessions are going to Cripps or Mackay's up there. Oscar McDonald's had a few. Walsh, Williams, Newman. A lot of their players that they want with the football they've got. We'd say about Oscar McDonald, but at least he's getting the football. But there's an imbalance in the possession rate. And if you're going to give Carlton, when they've got Mackay and Curnow in the forward line, and there's an imbalance in stats, good luck. That's all I say.
That's exactly right. They need to get their hands on the footy in the middle of the ground right now.
Mick Malthouse and Brett Delidio with you on Grandstand AFL. DeConing couldn't get a decisive tap against English. Free kick for a hold going Carlton's way. Walsh takes the advantage. Hand pass to Hewitt, to Cripps, who comes out of the centre square. Kicks to the leader. Mackay up full stretch, just couldn't quite hang on. And Keith gathers. He looks up further afield, not a lot of options, so sends it towards Liberatore, 1-on-1 with Doherty. Libba went up early, couldn't claim the mark. Vandermeer swoops onto it, tries to hand pass back to Liberatore over his shoulder. Almost kept it alive, Vandermeer, but it goes across the line. Boundary umpire right there on point, keen to retreat the footy himself. Carlton leading by 30 points.
I get Pat Cripps is a big-bodied midfielder, but you're allowed to still put a body on him to stop him from just breaking through and opening up the whole game.
We haven't had a lot of stoppages in the quarter. This is just the 12th, and we've had 8 goals. So it gives you an idea on how much the ball's just been in motion in general play. And the only time it's restarted has been back in the middle. There's a free kick here for the boundary throw-in as English took out the hands of DeConing illegally. Carlton will go inside 50. Hand pass to Doherty. Kicks wide to Curnow. Forced to spoil at the back, but straight down to McRae of the Bulldogs. 1-2 with Liberatore. McRae puts his kick up, back inboard to the corridor. Hannon collects on the half volley. Hand pass to Daniel. Slick hands for Bontempelli. He fumbles. Hewitt extracts it. Hand pass towards Sard. He's bowled over. Still live footy at half-back for Carlton. Hewitt slides in and wins it. Hand pass to Setterfield. Walsh coughs it up. Straight to Bontempelli. Kicks the Dogs inside 50. Ugle-Hagan collects on the bounce, shakes a tackle, and then just trickles the ball 2 metres away to Durden, who kicked it 1 metre to Setterfield. His ball a little longer out to Williams, who marks in the back pocket and chips it to Fisher on the back flank for Carlton. Blues by 30, 23 minutes travelled in the second quarter.
Ugle-Hagan's idea was to kick it to a teammate. That's what wrecked that.
Fisher short to Doherty, had to try and gather it on the bounce as McRae laid the tackle. Back to Fisher, hugs the boundary line with a kick to Silvani. Has it at right half back for the Blues. 6 goals to 2 in this second quarter. Kick came off the hands of Vandermeer, landed in the lap of Cripps. He advances it to half forward to Charlie Curnow. Kicks long, looking for Harry Mackay. He got underneath the footy, turned and tried to race back. Now to Ray over the footy, left it behind. Harry picks it up once more. Good side step, gets it to Durden. His kick is smothered. He'll have another go at it, trying to break the Richards tackle. Eventually the support arrived. Over the footy, Gardner. Now he dived on top of it. He wrestles with Charlie Curnow. It came out to O'Brien, who seemed to be taken high. He threw the head back. And the umpire saw it just as Rourke Smith was about to break away. Treloar just with a left arm getting O'Brien high. And he made it look worse than it was.
It's over the chest.
Bought that, didn't he?
Yep, it certainly is. Certainly is.
When you're hot, though. You've got to make the most of it, don't you? So you take the rub of the green.
And Lockie O'Brien, who was picked 10 back in 2017, trying to make the most of his opportunities, fires it at the left goalpost and it slams straight into it. Carlton have done so much right in this second quarter. It's a 31-point advantage, 24 minutes gone, second term.
Hit-outs to advantage, 11-1 Carlton's way. Daniel on the kick out in the headgear finds Crozier, back pocket, long kick to half-back, wanted Smith. Fogarty got a hand on it, knocks it down to Smith. His hand pass back to Gerard and Liberatore, almost mowed down, knocks it on to Vandermeer. Smith clever, sockers it up to the wing. Waitman, sweeping hand pass to Bontempelli. Walsh tackles him, forces the turnover. Here's Doherty, puts it on the boot. Sprawling effort from Crozier, unsuccessful. Walsh picks up, hand pass to Sard. Under pressure, kicks inside the centre circles. Here's Hewitt, knocks it out to the advantage of Fisher. Breaks one tackle, gives it to Fogarty. Hand pass to Cripps. The Blues are through. Kicks it inside 50. English back with the flight, knocks it away to Cordy. Hand pass to Daniel and the Bulldogs try to get it out of there.
Out to Rourke Smith in the back pocket. He kicks up to Vandermeer, who takes the mark at left half back. Blues lead by 31 points after they led by 7 at quarter time. 6 goals to 2 in this second quarter. As Vandermeer's called to play on, drives a long kick down the wing. Norton the marking target, nudged underneath it, just couldn't quite hold on to the mark. Zach Williams for the Blues feeds the hand pass out to Hewitt, to Walsh racing back. He's got Wiedering loose on the defensive 50, finds the loose option. He sends it back to where it came. It won't get to Kennedy. It did. Cleared the fingertips of Richards. Kennedy kicks inside the 50. Harry Mackay. He works Cordy underneath it and then cops a knee from Crozier. He slowly gets to his feet now, but he was toying with the Bulldogs' defence there.
Well, I said it just before, when you're hot, you're hot. They've had a couple of things just fall their way at the moment. That's just stuck in Bam Kennedy's hands, isn't it? Just over the top of Richards. He looked like he was in a good position, but...
It's funny how the little things tend to work out. Big H steps out, snaps across his body. Goal number 4. 4 before half-time for the reigning Coleman medalist. And Carlton are running hot. 37-point leaders. 12-4-76 to the Bulldogs. 6-3-39. 27 minutes gone. Second term.
I think we made a comment early. If these two blokes can get going, there's 15 to 20 goals every week.
Yep. It's exciting to watch, isn't it, when you see two young key forwards really start to take the game by the scruff of the neck. What I've been impressed by with Carlton so far is their ability to swarm the ball carrier and really apply pressure and even just perceive pressure on the receiver. They're forcing the Bulldogs into un-Bulldog-like mistakes.
Yeah. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Oscar McDonald left the ground quite some discomfort. He's been getting some work done on his lower back. Has now just left the field down the room, so I'll keep you posted. Oscar McDonald, a back injury.
Carlton by 37, closing in on half-time. And it's a new game high in the middle. It's Dunkley. Hand pass comes out to Scott. Sends a high kick to half forward. Bounces through into the lap of Newman, though. Works his way out of trouble. Does a 180-degree turn and hits up Curnow, who takes the mark in front of the benches. Turns and gives it a whack to Mackay. He's caught wrong-footed. Trying to spoil from behind, and Keith takes the intercept mark for the Dogs.
This is where their Dogs are attacking from, because they're getting slaughtered in the stoppages, so everything has to come from the half-back line, and they're just not good enough through the middle of the ground at the moment.
Keith places it in front of English, spills a mark he should have taken. Hand pass to Crozier, back to English, live footy. Crozier's hand pass picked off, got it from English, gives it to Sard. Hand pass to half forward for Curnow, back to Sard. Sard pokes the kick to Harry, juggled effort, can't complete the mark. Loose footy, back pocket for the Dogs. Walsh tries to intercept the hand pass. Smith tackles him, dispossessed, ball spills out of play. And a throw-in, 35 out from the Carlton goal. And a bit of push and shove to follow with Rourke Smith and Paddy Cripps.
Well, that was, the umpires could have fixed it up by just awarding the free kick.
Yes.
It was.
They have done now. The non-controlling umpire overrules, so free kick for holding the ball. The Dogs will take it. The melee breaks up, and they've shifted it to the opposite flank with Bailey Dale.
Can they pinch one here before half-time? Up to the wing where Hunter takes the mark. Tried to say O'Brien didn't stand. Feeds the hand pass to Richards, who now works it towards Dunkley. He marks it right half forward. Still 2 kicks out from goal. Comes inboard back to Hunter.
Been quiet, Hunter. Hasn't really. This is where the missing link is, this wing play.
He's played a lot forward tonight. Long inside the 50. Hannon up and away. And he hangs on to it as he comes down and hits the turf. Didn't the Bulldogs need something to lift them?
Jeez,
and he just held on to it by his fingertips as he was on the turf. It was some spring.
Well, we've seen him be the pinch hit ruckman because of that spring, and he's just launched at that footy.
Great mark. That is a great mark.
The Bulldogs simply need it. Hannon comes in 30 metres out, directly in front, and gives them some momentum as they head towards the main break. Their third goal of the quarter. Carlton have put on 7 at the other end. And the Blues lead is 31 points, 12-4, 76 Carlton to the Western Bulldogs 7-3, 45.
Brett, this midfield, it's not so much the mid, it's the auxiliaries, if you like. It's the flanks, high half forwards and wings for the Dogs. Because of the dominance of the ball going into Carlton's forward line, this line here has to be more active.
Yep.
More involved. More getting. Well, that's the word. Getting involved. Because at the moment, it's just they seem to hit a wall. Back it goes in the Carlton forward line, and they will score. They've got too many good players down there. So that's where the Dogs are breaking down, and the stoppages.
Back to 31 points, Carlton's way. English leaps high in the middle, palms it down. Liberatore, hand pass over his shoulder. Treloar onto it. Walsh sweating on him straight away. Hand pass out to Vandermeer. Walsh tackled him without the footy. Free kick and advantage applied. Here's Treloar. Hand pass to Dunkley along the boundary line to Smith. Forward of the wing for the Dogs. Centering kick towards Vandermeer. Over his head it goes. And Fisher at centre half back with it for Carlton. The 1-2 to Williams. And Fisher heads out wide and finds O'Brien on the back flank. They want to keep going, Carlton. Hand pass over to Newman. Back to O'Brien. Back to Fisher. Trying to wrong foot Hunter and then goes wide to Durden. And Corey Durden marks against the boundary line at half back.
And another forward thrust breaks down. And it's been typical so far the first half.
He goes back to Williams. Williams across to Wiedering. And Wiedering up to the wing on the dock side, finds Sard, who marks and chips to Walsh. Right on the bell. What a half of footy from the Blues to pick up where they left off after a devastating final quarter against Richmond. They've put 12 past the Bulldogs in the first half here. Carlton 12-4, 76. Last year's grand finalists, the Western Bulldogs, 7-3, 45. It is a 31-point lead for Carlton at half-time Thursday night footy to start round 2. Harry Mackay's kicked 4, 2 for Paddy Cripps, 2 for Charlie Curnow. And then singles for Silvani, Kennedy, Fisher and Owies. Meanwhile, for the Western Bulldogs, one each for Treloar, Ugle-Hagan, Liberatore, Scott, Hannon, Norton and English. The margin was as wide as 37 late in the term. The Dogs kicking the final goal in the half to make it 31 points at half-time. Rob from Williams off the SMS in Western Australia. G'day, fellas. Going to be a very brave journo to ask Bevo a question at tonight's presser.
Mitchie, that's you.
Peter from Hampton, go the Blues. Hey, guys, love the Blues play. Another Coleman coming up, question mark, obviously, regarding Harry Mackay winning that last year. Annie in New South Wales, Blues little fellas remind me a lot of the Mosquito fleet of the old days. Rob in Montmorency says, can someone please explain to me why Pitternet keeps getting pinged in the centre bounce? It looks like he's in good position, but he's done for a block. It doesn't look different to his opponent, just seems to get higher. Anything on that, Lids?
No. Puts his knee in. No, he puts his knee in first.
Too early.
And
blocks.
Yep. Far too early. Once you put your knee in early, and you're not getting off the ground, you're actually keeping the other ruckman away from the ball.
Their run.
Yeah, it's a ruck. It hasn't hurt them. Their stoppages.
And a one for you, Mick. Daniel from Darwin asks, who do you prefer to win tonight? You've coached both teams, of course. Former coach of the Blues and the Dogs, I think I saw in the paper. Tipped Carlton tonight, didn't you? I
picked Carlton because I just think they're I picked Carlton to make the 8 on the basis of the fact that when you look at the team and Curnow is, if he was fit, which he is, comes into the side, they're maturing. I think they needed a coach like Michael Voss to just toughen them up. And I'm not saying anything about the previous coaches, but Michael doesn't tolerate anything that unless you put your body in. They've got a very, very good football side. And I made a remark before before the game started. They will kick regularly big scores. The opposition, the only way to stop Carlton is to be able to stop them in the middle or stop their stoppages. At the moment, the Dogs aren't going anywhere near it. They shook hands before the game and they'll probably wave to each other at the end of the game, and that's not going to be good enough. So who do I want to win? No, I've got no love for one nor the other. I've coached both. I like both. I like Shane O'Sullivan's one of my best mates at Carlton. Luke Beveridge put some time in with us at Collingwood. It's a matter of just getting. I've got a son at home he would be crying at the moment. My youngest son is an absolute Bulldog. Troy, he's a Bulldog supporter.
How old?
My son, he's 30 odd, but he's got
he's
two.
He's crying.
He would be. When he wears it. Like the two boys, he's got two boys, Denver and Kai, and they would be crying because they are dog people as well. Haven't got any Carlton people in the family at the moment. Richmond?
You're a bit too established in your coaching journey by the time you finally made your way to Carlton. Everyone had already picked their teams by then in the Malthouse family.
No, they supported me all the way through until my last game. Then they decided which ones they're going to go. I got a West Coast.
They all split back to certain clubs.
They have split. Yep. That's it.
Your analysis, lads, on that first half of footy. Brett Delidio and Mick Malthouse, Carlton by 31 at the half.
Well, I spoke about it during that quarter then, and you just made mention of it then, Mick, that their ability to score, and that was probably there last year, wasn't it? They could score, but it was we had question marks over their ability to defend, and they've added that layer purely around the source, it seems. They set up a little bit better behind the footy, no doubt, but I think, Zach Williams going back to half-back, not spending any time in the middle, I think that shores him up. Nick Newman missed large chunks last year. He's the oldest player out there for the Blues this year. Adam Saab, we know what he can add, but Wiedering, absolute star. And I don't mind Oscar McDonald down there. I know Liam Jones was a big loss for him, but I don't mind Oscar McDonald, but it's their pressure around the footy, and that's where and it's not just the pressure and the 1v1 nature of it, it's their perceived pressure and the guys on the outside. They're making rush decisions and they're forcing the Bulldogs into errors that we're not used to seeing from the Bulldogs.
The Dogs last year, they earned the right to play in the grand final, but their Achilles heels are still here. Their Achilles heel, and I'll say plural. Their backline's too small.
Yep.
So, and probably not good enough. Try hard, but just not good enough. And I'm talking about, Cordy's playing basically forward, but you've got, who was I talking about? Anyway, look, I'll come back to that.
Back like Keith, so they've got Gardner.
Gardner's not quite good enough. I know he's a heart and soul player, but he's not good enough when you have a look at what other clubs have got. Their forward line seems naked. I hate saying this, without Bruce. Yep. I mean, I'm not he can be very good, he can be very lazy, but what he does, he draws other players and it gives Norton a chance.
Makes Norton better. Yep.
So, know him. So then they're relying on the big mark of Hannon, the big mark of Ugle-Havey. Waiton shouldn't be marking. He should be just absolute. And he's a terrier on the ground. He's missed a lot of tackles only because he can't cover three players. And let me tell you, he's been outstanding with his defence. But the middle, if they're not winning in the middle of the Dogs, they seem to get creamed. And right now, they have to come to grips that if it's going to be Walsh or it's going to be Kennedy or it's going to be Cripps, take one of them out. And they've got Dunkley, who is a proven tagger. I know Liberatore has done it in the past, but he's outbodied in this position. I mean, he's
not big enough to go.
He's just 6 foot. These other blokes are 194, 195. So Josh Dunkley's to me the obvious answer. He's not doing enough offensively, so therefore don't worry about the fact that because these other blokes will take him to it, and he's got such a big heart. He'll fight for 50-50 ball. So to me, they're getting beaten almost in every division. There's not one division that stands out that says, oh, look, they're on top here. Even their stats, that possession rate there is 87 to 127. They're 40 short.
And in that quarter alone.
In that quarter, they're 40.
That's a smashing, isn't it?
In the other quarter, they were 30 short. So they're 70 down at half-time. That is just being absolutely taken to the cleaners. So there's no hey-home here until they tighten up and take away from Carlton what Carlton need. Carlton have gone 112, 127. They need to make big inroads into defending that ball.
Carlton's highest half-time score since 2013.
Wow.
So 12-4-76. So
thank you, Matt, for that. 2000. What did you say?
2013.
Thanks, mate.
So we've seen they've been able to score at various stages over the last couple of seasons, but they've never defended in the way in which they have so far tonight.
Gee, you'd have to be a good coach to set up to score that many points in a half of football with players wearing a Carlton jumper, wouldn't you? To think you would have thought so many points in a half of football. It's amazing, Mick, that a coach has been able to do that. In Ash Hansen on his first night in the main job, no one's done it since Mick Moldhouse coaching Carlton back in 2013. The Blues with 76 on the board to half-time. The Dogs are on 45. That means it's a 31-point advantage for Carlton. Usman Khawaja, just ridiculous the form that he's in. He's just lifted his bat again. He's 102 not out, so that makes it his third century of the tour so far. He's got a couple of 90s to go along with that. Australia are 2 for 202. It means their lead in the game is currently 327. We're approaching tea on the fourth day, still 2 down. Steve Smith's just arrived and Marnus Labuschagne was out for 36. More on what's happening in the AFL world after the latest from the ABC Newsroom. It is Carlton at half-time by 31 points.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. NATO leaders are gathering in Brussels to discuss their response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine as the war enters its 5th week. The emergency meeting is expected to agree to deploy thousands more troops to Eastern Europe. Ahead of the talks, NATO's Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg repeated that any use of chemical weapons would fundamentally change the nature of the conflict.
We need to do more, and therefore we need to invest more, and there is a new sense of urgency, and I expect that the leaders will agree to accelerate the investments in defence to meet the pledge we have made to invest more in defence.
Also tonight, G7 and EU summits will coordinate the enforcement of existing sanctions against Russia, as well as considering further measures. The Solomon Islands government's reportedly signalled it could soon allow the Chinese military to have a presence in the Pacific nation close to Australia. A draft framework agreement emerged stating that Beijing would be allowed to deploy forces to protect the safety of Chinese personnel and major projects in Solomon Islands. The ABC's not yet verified the document, but Home Affairs Minister Karen Andrews says the Australian government views any expansion of Chinese military activity in the Pacific as concerning.
That is our backyard, that is our neighbourhood, and we are very concerned of any activity that is taking place in the Pacific Islands. Our Pacific Island friends know that we are there to support them.
The federal government's warning refugees soon to be transferred to New Zealand that they'll never settle in Australia. Here's Tom Lowry.
9 years ago, a deal was brokered between the then Gillard government and New Zealand to take in hundreds of refugees who'd arrived in Australia by boat. The coalition has previously been reluctant to act on it, but has now accepted the offer, and hundreds of refugees will be transferred over the next 3 years. But Home Affairs Minister Karen Andrews says they can never return to live in Australia.
People who come to Australia illegally by boat will never, ever settle in Australia. That policy position has not changed.
Labor says it's relieved the offer has been accepted, but criticised the government for being slow to take it up.
Tasmanian police don't believe there are any suspicious circumstances behind the disappearance of 4-year-old Shayla Phillips on a remote part of the Tasman Peninsula. A search will resume tomorrow morning for Shayla, who was last seen playing in her backyard with the neighbour's dogs yesterday. Her mother, Bianca, called police when she noticed Shayla and the dogs missing from the backyard. Both dogs have since been found. Inspector Gavin Hallett says there's currently nothing to indicate anyone else is involved.
You know, an indicator for us was that the dog was found in an area quite some distance. We couldn't find the dogs for some time, so that's an indicator to us. If there had been some, untoward activity, the dogs wouldn't have been gone, they would have been here.
An inquiry's heard that a high roller spent $11 million using a Chinese debit card in one day at the Star Casino in Sydney. The inquiry is investigating Star Entertainment's suitability to run its casino at Pyrmont. It's previously heard that under an agreement with the bank, China Union Pay, cards were only allowed to be used for non-gambling expenses. But under questioning from counsel assisting Naomi Sharp SC, high roller property developer Philip Dongfang Lee told the inquiry through a translator he'd spend millions a day at the casino.
On 6 April 2015, you debited your China Union Pay card for $11 million to purchase chips or pay back a casino debt.
Correct. A New South Wales MP's been suspended from Parliament while he faces sexual abuse charges. Here's Kathleen Ferguson.
The state government today passed a motion to suspend the member for Kiama, Gareth Ward, until criminal proceedings are finished. It passed without any opposition. He's facing 5 charges relating to historic alleged sexual abuse. Police allege he indecently assaulted a 17-year-old in the Shoalhaven area in 2013 and a 27-year-old in Sydney in 2015. Mr. Ward has maintained he's innocent.
And Ash Barty has hinted at her post-tennis plans a day after announcing her surprise retirement. Calls were already growing for Melbourne's Margaret Court Arena to be renamed after the 25-year-old. The unexpected retirement announcement came less than 2 months after her victory at the Australian Open, and Tennis Australia says it will look at how best to honour Ash Barty, but the decision is ultimately up to her. The 3-time Grand Slam champion hasn't revealed much about what will come next, but says she's been overwhelmed by the support. ABC News.
Hi, Beverly Wang.
And Benjamin Law here from the Stop Everything podcast.
We're sure you're down with the zeitgeist, but in case you've had other things on your mind the last couple of years, you should download the ABC Listen app and unleash a world of entertainment for your ears.
Ooh, there's featured episodes, true crime blockbusters.
I might just take over here. Simply search for what you want.
Sports, science.
Like, Stop Everything. Add it to your favorites and you'll never miss an episode.
Bev, our podcast is even on here.
The ABC Listen app. Download it for free today.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Cripps on Dunkley, pushed off in Pitneck, took it out of the right, hand pass to Fisher, to Williams inside 50, low ball, Durden's hand pass to Fogarty, back to Cripps for number 2, snaps on the right boot, he is an unstoppable force at the moment.
Zach Williams, who can just pump it back out of defensive 50 up to the wing. Cripps knocks it away from Dale. Cripps onto it, spun around, hand pass to half forward. Durden collects on the bounce, hand pass to Fogarty, feeds it to Curnow. Another one coming up, another one sails through.
Hewitt to Walsh racing back. He's got Wiedering loose on the defensive 50. Finds the loose option. He sends it back to where it came. It won't get to Kennedy. It did. Cleared the fingertips of Richards. Kennedy kicks inside the 50. Harry Mackay. Big H steps out, snaps across his body. Goal number 4. Hunter had a lot forward tonight. Long inside the 50. Had it up and away. And he hangs onto it as he comes down and hits the turf. Hannon comes in 30 metres out, directly in front, and gives them some momentum as they head towards the main break.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds there for the second quarter as Carlton kicks 7 goals to 3 after leading by 7 points at quarter time. It's the Baggers by 31 at the half. Now, elsewhere in the sporting world, it is tea on day 4. Australia are 2 for 202. That gives them a lead of 327 in the game. 4 sessions to go. Usman Khawaja is 100 not out. That is his second century on tour after his 160 in Karachi. He also has a couple of 90s after making 97 in Pindi in the first test. And, of course, in the first innings, he made 91. So that's an extraordinary tour that continues for Usman Khawaja. Steve Smith's not out on 12. The 2 batters dismissed, David Warner for 51 and Marnus Labuschagne for 36. Now, the World Cup qualifier between the Socceroos and Japan, 37 minutes in. No score either way. The Socceroos must be winning here if they want direct automatic qualification, so they must be winning. There is a call available of that through the ABC Listen app. Meanwhile, in the NRL, 30 minutes in, Sharks 10, Dragons yet to score. Corbin Middlemass, Matt Clinch, Mick Moldhouse, Brett Delidio, Mitch Cleary's with us with all the latest news. Masso, it has been a busy news day, particularly, just to recap, Dustin Martin's absence at Richmond.
He's on indefinite leave right now from the Tigers, Corbin. He has been named in the team to play on Sunday, but the Tigers conceded he's unlikely he will play against the Giants. We know he's been dealing with a few personal issues in recent months, mourning the loss of his shock loss of his father, Shane, in December. Some other team news around the traps today. Jake Stringer is back for Essendon. Jaden Stevenson dropped for North Melbourne. Liam Shields, the triple Premiership player at Hawthorn, also been dropped, and 5 West Coast players are missing through COVID protocols, including Josh Kennedy, Tom Barrass and Jack Redden.
That caught your attention, Mick. So Liam Shields, obviously successful 3-time Premiership player with Hawthorn. His former Premiership teammate Sam Mitchell giving him the flick after one game.
Yeah, that wasn't the one that shocked me. It was more about the West Coast.
Yeah, 5 COVID top-ups.
And I've said before that, and I think these statistics are roughly right, 80% of Victorian, New South Wales and Queensland players have had COVID. I don't know if that's right, but that's the figure I heard. And Western Australia, 20%. So the other 60% on top of that is going to be caught up, and they're catching up pretty quick, smart, and unfortunately, it's going to affect it this weekend.
Mitch, other news around the place, AFLW.
This is a fantastic story. The first ever AFLW game we played at the MCG in a fortnight's time. So Melbourne will host their preliminary final in a fortnight's time at the G against the winner of Brisbane and Collingwood. They play this weekend. That's fantastic.
So we've never had a game before AFLW at the G. This is number one.
Number one.
There we go. And then, obviously, the grand final will then be the week later. There's no hole in the men's fixture like there was for round 3. Obviously, the whole season's been kicked back a week. Will the AFL make a window in that round 4 fixture for the men's season?
I think they will. Every chance to do that, Corbin. Just a matter of if they can be flexible in their game. I don't think AFL teams will change day of their game. It just might be the time to open up a slot. And just come through, as we reported late in that second quarter, Oscar McDonald has been subbed out of this game. Lachie Plowman subbed in for the Blues.
Thanks, Mitch. We'll chat to you from the boundary. So Mitch Cleary with all the latest news. Great for the women's game to be able to stage a match at the MCG. I mean, it's long been thought that they're probably suited to suburban venues, create a really good atmosphere, but particularly come finals time. I mean, every kid grows up wanting to have a kick on the G, and now 40-odd women are going to get the chance to do that in a high-stakes prelim.
Yeah, absolutely. And, mate, they're going to enjoy the space that's going to be out there for them. Absolutely.
Enjoy the space.
It's a big ground.
The last thing they need is space.
Why?
Oh, God, they can't get from one end to the other. It takes them an hour to get from...
Oh, come on, Nick.
We've been waiting for a Melbourne team to be successful, though. We've had Adelaide and Brisbane who have reigned supreme in all the challenges of the pandemic. So to have it back in Victoria, at the home of footy, we've had some big occasions at the MCG already, haven't we, to start the footy season?
Absolutely.
Still got Warney, obviously, with the memorial service to take place as well. So it's a busy period, isn't it?
Carlton by 31 points, 12-4-76 over the Dogs, 7-3-45. Just recapping that news, Oscar McDonald out of the game. As it turns out, a like-for-like replacement.
Well,
Lockie Plowman subbed in.
they can do no wrong. They've obviously planned, if they're going to lose a player, it has to be a key back.
Yep.
So in comes Plowman and they don't miss a beat.
I don't know what they've been doing at the moment to turn their luck. Carlton, they got 8 inside 50-metre penalties go their way in pre-season game against Melbourne. They got 8 last week against Richmond. And now they name a key back as a sub, and he's required. So he comes in for Oscar McDonald. Second half action, Blues by 31.
Pitnet wins down the opening tap. Cripps gets the clearance. Hand pass to Hewitt. Back to Cripps, who lost his footing. Got up and kicked towards half forward. Charging out Dale. Tackle by Fisher. Broke the tackle. No. Umpire said it was holding the ball just as the Bulldogs through Bontempelli were about to break out of the middle. Bit of a cruel twist there. As Fisher takes the free kick in the middle of Docklands. Long towards Cripps. Up. Can't take the mark. He tries to fight with Hunter to gather it once more. As McRae was taken high. The tackle by Sam Walsh. And the Bulldogs take the free kick. McRae quickly away by hand to DeRay. Kicks up to the wing. And Lockie Hunter takes the mark.
So Hunter goes on a bit of a run and then kicks down to half forward. Hits up Norton. Hasn't been the game-breaking matchup just yet with Wiedering. He feeds a hand pass to Bontempelli. Kicks for Jamara, who skids in and takes the sprawling mark. And Ugelhagen will shoot from 20 out, dead in front.
Well, let me tell you, if Mitch McGovern wants to play as a backline player, he's got to work out that he actually has someone on him, because fair dinkum, he had paid no attention to his man whatsoever and ball watched. And this is why Ugelhagen is having a shot on goal.
Jumper change in the off-season from 22 to 2. He hasn't got his second here, though. It would have worked perfectly if he just kicked 2 right on that particular moment, but he misses out to the left. It's a behind for Ugelhagen. 7-4 to 12-4. It's a 30-point margin. Carlton lead at 2 minutes into the third term on Grandstand AFL.
I was about to pump up how good the Bontempelli kick was, but then you pointed out how bad the defending was.
I feel for Corby with Buddy 1000 if it gets into that territory. No, 9.99. Treloar has it on half forward for the Dogs. Hand pass to Richards. Good side step around Silvani, trying to cut back on his left to chip it towards Dale, but in the middle, Pitnet. There are 3 Dogs there. English, McRae, Dale, and Pitnet takes the intercepting mark. Kicks towards Silvani on the wing. He wrestles with Richards, works the ball over the top and can't run back onto it as it runs out of play in front of the 2 benches. Carlton by 30 points.
It's a bad miss, isn't it? That is a really bad miss from a kid that's
second half.
Well, he's recognised as a very good possession getter, user.
Pitnet in front of English, run down the tap to Kennedy. His hand pass is picked off by Daniel. Underground hand pass for the Dogs into the path of English. He knocks it onto Treloar. Can he pick it up? Fisher right there behind him. Knocked it onto Waitman. Hand pass to Dunkley. Now to the run of Dale. Gets to 50. On the run. Flying shot. Kicks it. The Dogs strike first in the second half through 3 minutes. Bailey Dale streaming from half-back. And Carlton's lead is cut back to 24 points. The Dogs 8-4-52 to the Blues 12-4-76. Mick Malthouse and Brett Delidio with you.
Well, he's as good as any half-back in the game at breaking 50 and putting them through. We spoke about Adam Treloar and his ability to break the paint and run through and kick the goal, but Bailey Dale does not mind dashing off half-back. What really impressed me was young Cody Waitman. He's a bouncy little fellow down there trying to really get the boys up and about. They looked a little bit flat-footed, the Bulldogs boys. He's trying to give them a spark. He's the one getting around. And come on, boys, we're in this. Let's get going.
Look, he probably hasn't had a lot of the football, but as I said before, he's running himself into the ground by his defensive work. And you just love him because of that.
We'll get to Mitch Cleary in just a moment. Activity on the Dogs bench as well as Pitnet wins the hit out back in the middle. Down to Hewitt. Hand pass to Walsh. Running the wrong way. Kicks hurriedly to the city wing. No one there. Hunter runs onto it for the Bulldogs. Carries to half forward. Kicks a high bomb. It'll sit in front of Norton. Hand pass out to Daniel. Kicks inside 50. And Waitman takes the mark. He threw his head back after contact looking for the free, but he had the footy anyway, and Cody Waitman will have a set shot. 20 out, left forward pocket.
So we're seeing Norton miss.
Yep.
Ugelhagen miss. These are the shots that bring you back in the game when you're trailing by 5 or 6 goals. You cannot afford to miss these.
The 21-year-old Cody Waitman goes back, misses everything. Gee, that's a poor finish across the face. Missed the whole set.
If you ever look at the way Corbin, the way he ran in, he was up and down, moving the ball all around the shop. Nothing was steady, nor his boot, nor the ball.
Carlton by 24, 5 minutes into the third.
Wiedering long towards Pitneck, couldn't take the mark. McRae gets the hand pass to Dale to Bontempelli in the centre square. Loads up and kicks long. Norton coming from a long way back. Spoiled Wiedering, hit the ground with a footy. Hand pass to Waitman, he's tackled by Doherty. Careful not to fall into his back. Williams with the kick out of the defensive 50. Good pass. And found Owies, who marks it right half back in front of Richards. Carlton by 24.
24 points, and that shot of Waitman's could have brought it back. It's quite remarkable for the dominance that Carlton have had, but they're still 24 because it was just a poor shot on goal.
Blues had a 7-goal second quarter, led by 37 at one stage. They get it out of the defensive arc. Wiedering long kick to Silvani. Measures a drop punt along the boundary line to Fisher.
Poor play by Dale. He had him covered, just didn't do anything about it.
Fisher hits up Mackay, marks high half forward, 70 out. Left half forward for the Blues. Long drop punt right to the goal square. Curnow competes, spills down to Dunkley. Hand pass out to Duray. Back pocket, runs out of room. Tackled by Fogarty and out of play it goes. So a throw in. Forward pocket for Carlton. Mitch Cleary's on the boundary. Mitch.
Bailey Williams has been subbed into the game for the Western Bulldogs. Hayden Crozier is out. Just confirming that earlier sub for Carlton. Lockie Plowman into the game. Oscar McDonald out with a back injury.
Thanks, Mitch. All over it. English uncontested in the ruck. Took it out. Hand pass to Dale. Got the hand pass to Dunkley. McRae it was, off balance. Kicks up to the wing. Norton flies for it. Can't take the mark. Williams feeds the hand pass to Wiedering. Squeeze the kick inside 50, but Tim English was waiting for it. Takes the mark in front of Charlie Curnow. 30 metres out from his defensive goal. He's going to switch it across the last line where Gardner takes the mark. Then out to Cordy, who marks in the left back pocket. He plays on with no one on the mark. Runs to the defensive 50, drives it up towards Hunter. Newman had the sit, couldn't complete the mark. Did get it to Silvani though, who can work it forward by foot and finds Owies, who marks it right half forward for Carlton.
He's told to go now as he takes a step off his line. Kicks in the Curnow direction. Bontempelli floats in front of the pack. Takes the juggled mark in defensive 50. So momentum with the Dogs here, and now a 50. And Bontempelli will take the footy all the way up into the middle of the ground.
Is that the first one for the day? Yeah.
First 50. Harry Mackay inside the restricted zone.
Carlton been the big benefactor during the pre-season and round one from the 50-metre rule as the Dogs work it inside 50. English hand pass out to Smith. Hits up Waitman. And Waitman takes the mark really uncontested. And that channel at half forward, he'll shoot from 45 out.
Now, this will be interesting, Corby, because you've called it very well and you've called it identically to the one on the other side. It'll be interesting to see his platform for a start off, because he was all over the shop with his legs. I just couldn't believe how he was shaking the ball from side to side. He just needs to be steady and straight. Well, you'll know more about this, Brett, than anyone.
So here he comes, bobbing on his way in. Cody Waitman, a little late fade, but he snuck it through. Big time finish for the Dogs, and they're back within 3 straight kicks. Waitman with his first of the night. Carlton at 12-4-76. The Dogs some early momentum in the third. They're 9-4-58. Carlton, who led the game by 37 in the second term, now lead by 18. 9 played third quarter.
Wasn't the nicest kick, though.
Well, his platform's wrong.
Yeah.
He wobbles the ball for a start off. He's got no oomph hit going into the ball, so he's kicking small body, not a lot of power in the leg. He needs to either get a bit of speed or a more solid platform, and by that I mean his foot and his hand together need to just be almost as one. But anyway, look, he's kicked a goal, and he has worried them. He's worried.
Paint pictures, do they? Went through.
Yeah, yep. Once it goes through two sticks, it doesn't matter how it gets there.
The Bulldogs are the only 2 goals of this third quarter so far. Kennedy emerges with a great smother from Dunkley. Still a chance for the Blues though. Hewitt got it to O'Brien. Back to Hewitt. Squeezes a kick inside the 50. Silvani comes charging out and blocks the mark over to Ray. That's what he can do, Jack Silvani. He's at full stretch using his vertical height to his advantage and came down with a footy against the smaller opponent.
Taylor Dray was just hoping for the push in the back there. But
wasn't he?
When you're giving away 10, 15 centimetres, it's very hard for him. He had the jump on him. Oh, there's a little hand in the back, but not enough to warrant a free kick.
194.
Big boy.
Receiving, isn't he?
Yep.
So the Blues got out by as much as 37 points in the second quarter. Jack Silvani comes in, gives them the response in the third quarter. Boots his second to restore a 24-point advantage. After the Bulldogs had had a number of shots to start this third term. Carlton 13-4, 82 to the Bulldogs 9-4, 58. We played 10 minutes third term.
This gets back to the more ball that Carlton get.
Yep.
These are the outcomes.
Better opportunity.
But this quarter, first time for the game, it's 35-25 the Bulldogs' favour. If they don't keep that ratio going, the way Carlton move the ball to that forward line and the options they've got, they will win comfortably. The Dogs have got to make a fight between half forward and half back and take what they can inside their front 50. But it's going to depend totally on their outcome at these stoppages.
Back to 4 goals, Carlton's lead. And back in the middle, English and DeConing share it. English comes down with it. Kicks a high ball to centre half forward. Vandermeer spoils away from McGovern, reversing the rolls there at the back and the forward. Down it comes Carlton's way as Plowman in the long sleeves kicks to Setterfield, who marks in the back pocket. He goes short to Doherty. Doherty swings it out the left half back to McGovern. Long kick to Kerner on the wing. Cordy leaps early, wins the tap, down towards Rourke Smith to Bailey Williams, the sub. Away to McRae, back to Smith and back to McRae.
McRae wheels on the left boot, kicks towards Norton, in from the side with Plowman in front, couldn't take the mark. Scott, that might be an awkward one for Mitch McGovern.
Hit his head on the turf,
Yes, he hit his head on the turf, yeah. So, slowly getting to his feet. Keep an eye on him.
Not real forgiving, this turf out there, Clinchy.
Oh, the car park underneath. Wasn't good in the early stages. They've improved it a bit. Taccone one down the tap, then excellent follow-up tackle on Liberatore. The Blues take it back. O'Brien with the hand pass to Walsh, around the body, kicks to Charlie Curnow, 2-on-1. He brought it down. Fogarty got it back to Charlie, kicks towards 50. Racing back, Gardner should get there first against Petnett. Couldn't take it cleanly, then ran past the footy. Pitnet puts his body over it, wins it. Hand pass to O'Brien, kicks to the goal mouth. Howell the bounce. It bounces to the left. And just the wrong side of the goalpost. Geez, big Mark Pitnet did well there. Carlton leading by 25 points.
One of the 10 guys out there for Carlton, taken in the first round in his national draft. As the Dogs go long through Giray, out towards half-back. Liberatore becomes a tackler in there. Wrapping up Walsh, and we'll have a ball up half-forward for Carlton.
That Pinot one, yes, was good, but it shows that Gardner he just lacks football knowledge.
DeConing pushes it down from the back. Walsh had it, lost it in the hunt to tackle. Spills to English. Bulldogs back with it. Hand pass to Bontempelli. Kicks down the city wing. Spoil comes from Wiedering. Loose footy on halfway. Wiedering can't collect. Walsh puts his head over it. Contact from Waitman. Says play on. Out it comes the Dogs' way. Scott's hand pass missed the target. Setterfield on the outer wing. Hand pass to Doherty. Carlton back with it. And he kicks to Silvani, but there's a free kick. And the non-controlling umpire spotted one for Laith Vandermeer. It's going against McGovern. And he's giving a fair bit of feedback, but Vandermeer is going to take it inside the centre square. Carlton by 25, 13 played in the third.
The replay showed that he just held his ground, but because he shaped up to protect himself a bit more, he's probably given away the free kick on a littler body.
Now Vandermeer's kicked towards Jamari Ugle-Hagan, but the umpire hadn't set the mark, so it's going to have to come back.
Just as well. It was a poor kick. Poor directed kick.
Yeah. The Blues
2v1.
All bar 3 or 4 players inside their defensive 50. So this time the hand pass to Dale. Short to Liberatore. That works far better. And Libber with a chance to his second. He'll shoot from about 45 metres out. They haven't done that better tonight, the Dogs. Found the short options just inside the 50.
He can go the distance, Libber. He's quite a remarkable kick, really. People don't associate him with depth, but he can go 45 to 48 metres.
Spent a fair bit of time forward against the D's last week. Liberatore comes in. Plenty of grit and determination from Libber. He steers it straight through the middle. And the Dogs have kicked 3 goals to 1 in this third term. And they're staying within striking distance. 19 points is the Blues lead. 13-5-83 to the Bulldogs 10-4-64. 14 minutes gone, third term on Grandstand AFL.
I can't imagine Vossi be too pleased with that. They even had a trial run, look at it, to be able to defend and get their numbers sorted, get pair off, get a player to allow just a running past Bailey Dale, free run at it, kicking in open air and just find an easy little hit up. It's not being hard to play against, is it? And that's what you probably pride yourself on, especially with a set play like that. Force them into just a long dump kick and then make it a 50-50, but just to get a nice, easy little lead up makes it very easy.
Yeah, and that's the difference, isn't it, this quarter compared to first half where it was just bombed in and hoped that someone marked it. Now they're starting to pick them off. Carlton players are really sagging back to the goal square, expecting the long kick in.
Spent 91% of his time as a forward last week, Tom Liberatore, and he's got 2 goals tonight. And again, he's starting in the front 6 here at the restart. Momentum with the Bulldogs. Pitternet wins the hit out back in the middle. Treloar soccers it 30 metres further afield to centre half forward. Waitman and Plowman after it. Plowman grabs it. Waitman grabs him. Ball spits out to Sard. Hand pass to O'Brien. Then to Doherty. Back to Sard. Loses it under pressure. Comes out to Treloar on the wing. Kicks to Jamara. Makes contact with McGovern. And he's going to give away the free kick. Bodying up with Mitch McGovern, and McGovern to take it at half-back. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Just followed up the injury concern around Hayden Crozier, who was subbed out at half-time for the Dogs. They're saying an illness at this stage. I'll keep you posted when I learn more.
Thanks, Mitch. Oscar McDonald also subbed out for the Blues, and Lockie Plowman into the action. Kick towards half-back for Carlton. They almost turn it over. The Setterfield combines with Plowman, trying to get it up to Walsh. He overran the footy. Bontempelli gets it back to Dale. Centre of the city wing, he turns and kicks inboard for Dunkley, had to take the mark, surrounded by 2 Blues, he does. Now looks inside the 50, Vandermeer comes out on the lead, just kicked it over his head, brought down by Newman, Ugelhagen comes charging through, left the footy behind. Pitnet for Carlton, hand pass to Owies, got it around Gardner to the advantage of O'Brien, who snaps across his body to the wing. A bouncing ball for Owies, tough one for him. Gardner gathers, works it to Richards for the Dogs, to Dunkley and back to Richards by hand, kicks it in the middle of the ground and Rourke Smith takes the mark.
Well done by Gardner, really well done.
Smith to Daniel in the centre square, he kicks out wide and Keith takes the mark on the city wing, trying to draw the free. The umpire didn't buy what he was selling. Hand pass over to Dale, not a heap up ahead. Short kick to Liberatore. Spills the mark between wing and half forward. Rolls up that left boot and goes long into the pocket. McGovern back across the pack. Takes the intercept mark. Back pocket for the Blues.
In time, Jamara Ugelhagen will fly for that mark. He waited and allowed Norton to go. And in time, with confidence, he will go for that and make that a 50-50 contest at best.
Well, that should be a runner out to him. Just say, just do it. You got the height, you go for it.
McGovern long to the city wing. Mackay flies, no mark, spills down to Liberatore. Hand pass to Bailey Williams. Surge kick forward. And a hurried kick flies over the fence and out on the full.
It's a shame because Ugelhagen was absolutely... Ugelhagen was so clear in there. He was running back towards the goal square. He had 15 metres on the Wiedering in this case.
It's taken a minute to get the ball back from over the fence as well. They're going to have to try and retrieve one now from behind the goal. So it's come out of the Esky, and only now they return. It's gone all the way down the race there. Carlton free kick, though, in the back pocket. It's the Blues by 19 points as many minutes into the third term.
And we got the bucket of balls behind the goals, but no good when it's outside of that. Long kick from McGovern up towards the wing. Keith read at best for the Western Bulldogs. Kicks a high ball towards Bontempelli. McGovern got in his back. That's got to be a free kick. Eventually the whistle does come. So the Bont has it at left half forward. It's been a quiet night for him. Possession number 15 coming up. Long to the goal now. Scott takes the mark. He was the last player at the back of the pack as Norton flew. And Norton slow to rise, lying on his back. But Anthony Scott positioned himself perfectly as a small forward.
He would have winded himself, Norton. Got up and landed. I hope he hasn't hurt his legs.
So can't put too much weight at the moment on his left. His left or right? Scott's going to come in and try and kick his second. He does. And the Bulldogs are coming with a flurry. A promising third quarter for the Western Bulldogs in which they've kicked 4 goals to 1. And the margin is back to 13 points Carlton's way. 13-5-83 to the Bulldogs, 11-4-70. 19 minutes gone, third term.
Yeah, I don't know whether there's a lot wrong with him. You just to see the...
Did he land a bit awkward on his ankle or something, was it? Maybe we're only guessing from here, but what I've liked so far from the Dogs, they've upped their pressure around the contest and they're forcing the Blues into loopy handballs and then allowing that second tackler to come in. Maybe he copped a bit of a corky.
Yeah, he's copped the corky and also right up the side of hip down to the knee. It's interesting.
Knee on knee.
It's knee on knee, was it?
Doherty.
Carlton by 13 points. Dogs haven't been this close since the 5-minute mark of the second term. We're now time on in the third as English wins it down and McRae gets the centre clearance, kicks to half forward. Williams fingertips to it, no mark. Hannon in the other direction for the Bulldogs. Hand pass to Smith. To Daniel, he goes all the way back by hand to McRae, who got the centre break from 70 out, kicks inside 50, spoil from Wiedering, still live for the Bulldogs. Silvani gets rid of Hunter, Hewitt jumps on top of it with desperation. Ball comes out to Cripps, hand pass out to Newman, gets it out of the defensive 50 to half back, but it's coming back, and Giray takes an intercept mark, 70 out.
Oh, turns and kicks for Treloar. It hung in the air for a while. Walsh was able to make the spoil. Got it to the advantage of Fogarty. Back by hand to Silvani. Off balance, kicks a high ball to the wing. Oh, Bulldogs had the numbers, but it bounced off Cordy's shoulder. Has enough time to regather as Gardner tidies it up. Hand pass to Daniel. Fully arches the back as he kicks towards English inside the 50. Got an awkward bounce with DeConing right there with him. Scott kept it alive. Back to English by hand. To Hunter. Kicks to the lead of Hannon. Oh, and he's collected high. As Wiedering looked to try to get a hand there. Hannon came charging out on the lead. And thankfully, Mitch Hannon is okay. Wiedering going back, trying to have an impact, but that didn't look good.
That was a beautiful kick from Lachie Hunter, wasn't it?
Oh, fantastic.
Placed it perfect.
Just is there any news on the bench at the moment?
We'll go down to Mitch Clear in a moment. Mitch Hannon steps out, snaps, hits the post. 3/4 up at the right goal post. And a minor score.
It's another give me. That's a left footer from 20 metres out, 15 metres.
1-1 for Mitch Hannon. Carlton's lead is 2 straight kicks.
Now Mitch just hunting around for some news on Norton, so we'll get to him in just a moment. Both subs already made. Saad goes short to Williams. Centre half back for the Blues. 12-point game. Late in the third, Newman from centre half back, kicks out to Silvani, marks on the wing, 30-metre polyfarmer hand pass, away to Fogarty, between wing and half forward, kicks inside 50, Owies flies, can't mark, spills to Curnow, Curnow snaps from 45 out and kicks it. Charlie Curnow dobs his third, and the Blues with one just to shift momentum. Carlton by 18 points, time on in the third. They're 14-5-89. The Western Bulldogs 11-5-71. Returns Carlton to an 18-point lead. Grandstand AFL, Mick Malthouse, Brett Delidio.
Well, you don't want to rub it in, but there's the difference. 15 metres out, left foot slams into the post, and there's a snap over the shoulder from a recognised forward, knows where the goals are, finishes off beautifully, and it was, as you said, Brett, always going to get better with his second up. Hasn't been played a lot of footy at all. And they do that's when that ball goes in that front 50, and it hasn't been there as often this quarter as it has in the past. First half, they'll still score. They've got capabilities everywhere, Carlton.
Back in the middle of the ground, English one down the tap against Pitnet, straight to Cripps. He can't break clear as McRae and Bontempelli lock him up in a tackle.
13-8 inside 50s this quarter. Dogs' favour.
Umpire quickly throws it up. English won it down. McRae couldn't take it. A chance for Hewitt, though, for Carlton. Feeds the half pass back to Doherty. Long kick towards the 50. Bulldogs had the loose player. DeRay dropped the Chesma. Now under pressure. Durden over the top of him. Gardner gets it back to Cordy, to Richards, to Daniel. Pinball through a couple of Carlton players. Links the hand pass to Treloar and back to Daniel. From half-back, kicks towards Bontempelli, 2-on-1. Doherty, great work. Tapped it to his own advantage and then claimed the mark. Back edge of the centre square. Switches it out to Setterfield, who takes the mark at right half-back. Carlton by 18.
So Setterfield goes short to Williams. And Williams, the long kick across the half-back line to Newman. Newman, that long left footer up to Silvani, who competes, can't mark. Spoil from Gardner. Williams is out of play. That's Bailey Williams for the Dogs. The ump says spin that in just forward of halfway for the Blues. So Norton is off with an ankle complaint. Both teams have made their subs. Crozier out with illness. Mitch Cleary reporting, and Oscar McDonald with a back complaint. Bailey Williams and Plowman, the two subs into the game for the boundary throw-in. Walsh squeezes a short kick away to Hewitt. Hand pass out to Fisher. Gives it to O'Brien. Back to Doherty. Doherty off the left boot. Kicks to half forward. Silvani up. Can't come down with a footy. 50 out for the Blues. Spills to Hewitt. Gives it to Walsh. Bontempelli crunches him. Dogs win the footy. English to Treloar on the wing.
Trying to get it back to English. Treloar opens up play. English takes a bounce. Ruckman shouldn't do that. Long towards Hannon. Wiedering in front. Got a fist to it. Spoils it down. Waitman one direction. McGovern the other. In the end, the ball bounces clear of the two and rolls out of play.
How good's that, having a ruckman who's just willing to link up on the wing?
Extra midfielder.
Take a bounce.
Hell, look at that forward line. It is midget territory. They really have nothing to kick to. Now it's got to be scrambled in there. Don't give the Carlton players a chance to mark it.
Yeah, with no Aaron Norton, it's Scott, Ugle-Hayden, Hannon and Waitman. Now, Carlton were hoping the free kick was their way. It is, but Hewitt couldn't take the advantage. It's coming back to Pitnet. They'll take it a left half back. The Dogs with 4-2 in this third quarter. As he gives it to Saar to go short to O'Brien. Kick through the hands of Richards. Did find Hewitt in the end for Carlton. Hand pass to Fisher. Kicks up towards Charlie Curnow. Had hands to it. Taken over the shoulder. And Charlie, who's kicked one in each quarter so far tonight. Silvani's pleading for it deep in the left forward pocket. Charlie's not interested in that. He's going to set fly from 60 straight into Gardner's chest. Ricochets to McRae. Can the Dogs break clear? McRae's clear.
Out to Hunter, who's got it on the back flank. And Luke Beveridge has come down to the bench early for a look before three-quarter time. He grabs the whiteboard immediately as Hunter goes back to Daniel. Just the imagery of that, Mick. The coach grabbing the whiteboard as soon as he hits the bench. The kick out towards half-back as Giray goes long to Waitman, but McGovern intercepts. Of course, his brother, we know, is a star, a four-time All-Australian defender, and Mitch McGovern swung into defence this year by Michael Voss. Goes back to Zach Williams, kicks into the middle of the ground for Fisher. Marks in front of Treloar. Fisher shifts it across the ground to Sard. Marks logo of the dockside wing. He goes short to Hewitt. Back to Sard. Sard kicks wide again to O'Brien. 55 out, left half forward. Pokes it to the top of the goal square. English got a hand on it. Down to Cordy. Dogs top of the defensive goal square now. Daniel out to Smith, and Rourke Smith hits up Waitman at half-back.
Defending much better, the Dogs. Really getting the numbers down, sharing the ball, and getting the ball outside of 50 as quick as they can.
Mitch McGovern was waiting for the long kick down the wing. That's where he sends it. In the end, it's spoiled down by Plowman. Front and centre is McRae for the Dogs. Hand pass back to Rourke Smith. He kicks a high ball towards Ugle-Hagan. Wiedering in the end is the only player who comes charging out. Anthony Scott turns frustrated a bit with Jamara. As the Blues switch it back to centre half back. Sard takes the mark. Couple of bounces. He's only moved about 5 or 6 metres. Now chips it out to the broadcast wing. O'Brien takes the mark. Harry Mackay up at a long lead. The kick is over his head. Racing back is Dale. Harry kept it alive. Trying to tap it to his own advantage. Could have almost been held when not in possession. Keith tries to work with Dale, but Dale slipped over. Hand pass to DeRay. Good tackle from Hewitt. And the Dogs are eventually out through Hunter, who kicks to Waitman on the wing.
Good hands by Waitman.
Just hugs it to his throat, trying to leap in the air and take the mark. Hand pass out to Richards in front of the interchange gates. Dogs over halfway. O'Brien closes his down. And Lockie O'Brien wraps him up, just ran straight at the ball carrier, holding the ball, and the Carlton fans love that. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Just gone down to the Western Bulldogs race. Behind closed doors here, Hayden Crozier's on an ECG machine getting his heart checked out. Behind closed doors, there was 3 paramedics sitting behind the bench where we boundary riders sit, and they've rushed down to the room to check on Hayden Crozier around some concerns with his heart. I'll keep you posted.
We'll come back to you at three-quarter time, Mitch, so high concern there. And our thoughts are with Hayden Crozier and his family, and fingers crossed that's not as serious as it first appears, but Gee, that is distressing news from Mitch Cleary on the bench around Hayden Crozier, subbed out of the game with what was described as illness and heart concern for Hayden Crozier. The Dogs in the defensive 50. They win a free kick at half-back. And now Daniel takes the mark. Centre half-back on the three-quarter time siren. Gee, it's a live game as we turn for home. The Blues by 18 points. But the Bulldogs were able to get within a couple of kicks on a couple of occasions during that third quarter. They did trail this game by as many as 37 points at three-quarter time. They trail by 18. Carlton 14-5-89. The Western Bulldogs 11-5-71. The Blues led by 7 points at quarter time, by 31 at the half, and now by 18 at three-quarter time. The goal kickers, 4 for Harry Mackay, 3 for Charlie Curnow, so the two bigs with 7 between them, 2 for Silvani, and then singles for Kennedy, Fisher and Owies. Meanwhile for the Bulldogs, 2 for Liberatore, 2 for Scott, singles to Treloar, Jamari Ugle-Hagan, Waitman, Hannon, Dale, Norton and English. Mitch, can you fill us in on any more on that? I'll just recap what you know so far regarding Hayden Crozier.
So we understand there was a marking contest in the second quarter that it could be centred around. So Hayden Crozier didn't return to the field in the third quarter. He was subbed out of the game, replaced by Bailey Williams. Wasn't cited at all on the bench. Now, about 5 minutes into that third quarter, there's 3 paramedics who sit behind the bench on standby for any emergencies. They rushed from their position down to the Western Bulldogs room and now behind closed doors. Now, the broadcast vision showed Hayden Crozier hooked up to an ECG machine, which is to check out the heart. It's not anything to be overly concerned about at this stage, but it is just a heart check that they do for a lot of patients, for standard heart checks. So I'll keep you posted, but it's not good signs at the moment, given Hayden Crozier was subbed out and they have had to go to those lengths to check out his heart. The other one right now is Aaron Norton came down to the rooms midway through that third quarter. Has just had his right calf area strapped up, so he's just going through some fitness tests at the moment with the medicos at the Dogs, but looks like he will return to the game for the last quarter.
Mitch, I reckon that Norton had that calf done before the injury. So when he's running like that, one would suggest that it's probably lower leg or knee, just to test to see how he twists and turns. So if his knee's not taped, it's probably going to be looking at his ankle. Mind you, we thought he might have copped a corky, so it'd be very interesting just to see that. But that certainly that bandage was on when he was walking off.
Carlton by 18 points at three-quarter time. There's a bit happening, as they say. 0437 774 774, the SMS number. Thoughts of Brett Delidio and Mick Malthouse coming up on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
ABC Sport now has its very own newsletter, and we'd be pumped to have you on board.
Woohoo! The ABC of Sport will provide a wrap of all the best stuff that's happening in sport every week.
Simply go to abc.net.au/connect
and get ready for a sport hit in your inbox every Friday.
Get on board with the ABC of Sport newsletter
for content that makes you think
or allows you not to.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Daniel, underground hand pass to the Dogs into the path of English. He knocks it onto Treloar. Can he pick it up? Fisher right there behind him. Knocks it onto Waitman. Hand pass to Dunkley. Now to the run of Dale. Gets to 50 on the run. Flying shot. Kicks it.
The Dogs work it inside 50. English hand pass out to Smith. Hits up Waitman. And Waitman takes the mark really uncontested in that channel at half forward. He'll shoot from 45 out. So here he comes. Bobbing on his way in. Cody Waitman, a little late fade, but he snuck it through. Silvani marks on the wing. 30-metre polyfarmer hand pass away to Fogarty. Between wing and half forward. Kicks inside 50. Always flies. Can't mark. Spills to Curnow. Curnow snaps from 45 out and kicks it. Charlie Curnow jobs his third.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Australia have declared in the third test at Lahore, so 3 down for 227. What that all means in the context of the game, they have set a victory target of 352 to win. So 352 the target for Pakistan in 121 overs. So a bit to come tonight, and then, of course, the full 90 tomorrow. Kawaja, 104 not out. Meanwhile, in the Socceroos World Cup qualifier against Japan, we're almost an hour in and there's no score between Japan and Australia. And in the NRL, 55 minutes played. The Sharks 28, the Dragons 6. Our focus, though, is on what's happening here at Docklands. It's Carlton by 3 goals. The Dogs did win that third term, though, outscoring the Blues by 13 points. Mick Moldhouse, Brett Delidio.
Brett, one of the things that's really obvious there is the Cripps stats.
Yep.
He got 4 that quarter. I don't know how many he had in the first half, but it was certainly a lot, and he was dominant. So when you analyse that, along with, and it's not surprising that Walsh dropped to, I think, 5, because, I mean, he's been out for a few weeks, and he would have been off that leg for a while.
He also feeds off Cripps pretty well, doesn't he?
Well, yes, he does. He gets his own ball, but yes, he does. But more the point, McRae's back up there again. The half-back line all of a sudden was getting good ball.
Yep.
And the half-back line was getting good ball forward. So you got Daniels and Dale coming off that back line. I thought Gardner was much better that quarter. Cordy was pretty good. Hunter got him. Oh, English was outstanding.
9 touches from the big man.
Yeah, but Hunter and just trying to think who else would have been Scott got involved on the wings. So all of a sudden, the shift in stats, as I said, if they went that way again, they actually possessioned Carlton. So that was a major step.
On our monitors here, Hayden Crozier up walking around shirtless in the Dogs' rooms at the moment after having his heart checked out on latter stages of that third quarter. He was subbed out of the game at half-time. Final quarter underway, Blues by 18. English wins the tap, but Hewitt first touch of the footy. Hand pass to Cripps, kicks across the ground, and Walsh takes the sprawling mark as he drops to his knees. Logo of the City wing. Gets up and kicks out wide to Kennedy. Between wing and half forward for the Blues. They're coming home to the Coventry end. High kick inside 50. They all compete. Spills down towards Cripps. His kick smothered. Nice work from Dunkley. Ricochets to his mate Treloar. Hand pass out to Hunter. He's bowled over. Fogarty picks it up at half forward for the Blues. Slick hands to Kennedy. Away to Walsh. Now to Sard, and Sard can kick inside.
Back onto his right boot, but an up and under kick to Koenig underneath it. Pitnet the other way. Liberatore read it best for the Dogs. Hand pass to Bailey Williams. Drives a kick up to the wing. Waitman's there against 2. Jamara Ugle-Hayden run underneath the footy. And it clears the pack and goes out of play.
Yeah, he did run under the football. I'm just trying to work out why he would have run under that football, whether he was thinking that Waitman was going to bring the ball to ground. Anyway, no damage done by either side. So just looking at the setups again, Carlton are playing a lot further towards the ball than the goal square.
Blues by 18 points. Pitnet takes it out of the ruck, but straight to McRae of the Dogs, who feeds the hand pass to Dunkley. Now to Hunter. Off balance, kicks a high ball towards half forward. This time Jamara comes charging out and marks on his chest. Ugle-Hagan wants to move it quickly because Bontempelli's deep. Wiedering sets himself. Bont's got it. Lunging back as Wiedering tried to come in from the side and spoil. And the Bulldogs skipper has it, only about 15 metres out on a 45-degree angle.
Interesting enough, he's not going to do the around the body kick, which is really interesting. I guess for a left footer, and it's fairly open, but that's a great mark under pressure.
Marcus Bontempelli has struggled to have an impact in the midfield as he normally would. Can he impact here to start the final term? He can. The Bulldogs strike first, and it's back to a 12-point ball game. Could we have an absorbing finish here at Docklands to start round 2? The Blues 14-5-89, the Bulldogs 12-5-77. Just 2 minutes played in the final term.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we are going to get one of those, Clinchy. I just feel like the Bulldogs have just done enough to hang in there throughout the whole game. I know it got right out to about 31 points at half-time, but they're doing enough now to keep the pressure on Carlton, and they're forcing them to make the play, whereas before that the Blues were putting the pressure on the Dogs and forcing them to cough it up. Now we're seeing the Bulldogs get their play, get the half-backs, as Mick spoke about at three-quarter time, involved, and their midfielders are getting a hold of the footy, and when you got Bontempelli going forward and clunking them like that, they're a real show.
0437 774 774. Shout out to Ange, loving the call lane in the pool on a balmy night in Perth. Nice to have you with us, Ange. It's the Blues by 12 points. They get it out of the middle here as Kennedy down to Hewitt, and Hewitt kicks wide for Silvani. It bounces and beats him out of play. A throw-in, 70 out from the Blues goal.
Good to see Hewitt kick it. That's just his fourth in 26 touches. I thought he was allergic there for a little while.
Got the number 29 on his back still, after making the move from Sydney in the off-season for the boundary throw-in. Off his knees, Cripps. Hand pass in front of Kennedy. He's tackled immediately by McRae. Tries to give it back to Cripps. Cripps out, hunts English on the ground. Wins it, gives it to O'Brien. Hand pass to Kennedy. His kick smothered. McRae got hands on it and it ricochets out of bounds. So a throw-in, 70 out from the Blues goal.
Good set up by the Dogs. They're keeping players in front of the ball. It's the only way really to score is you've got to have the numbers there.
Pitnet tries to drop it down for Kennedy, who came in hard. Scott bumped off it. Dunkley can't knock it clear for the Bulldogs. Kennedy has another go at it. Taps it towards Cripps and Dale, and it rolls out of play for a boundary throw-in. Carlton with 19 disposals to 10 to start the final term. Bulldogs have managed to kick the opening goal, though, through Bontempelli. Thrown back in. Pitnet drops it to the front. Kennedy trying to run onto it. Couldn't get a disposal away for the Blues. Scott gets it to Liberatore. Up and under kick to the wing. Norton's underneath it. Wiedering tries to spoil it down. Waitman and Sard. Sard got a crucial tap onto it. Got it to Williams, who now feeds the hand pass to Nick Newman, who's going to go back. And O'Brien takes it to the back edge of the centre square. Up to the city wing, where Charlie Curnow surely had enough to be paid the mark. If not, it would have been a free kick against Cordy. Carlton Spearhead has it between wing and half forward.
He's kicked 3 tonight. Charlie Curnow, after being goalless last week, into the pocket. Silvani flies. It slips out the back to McRae. Back pocket for the Bulldogs. Kicks to a one-on-one, and Libba marks in front of O'Brien. Half back for the Dogs.
Poor play by O'Brien. If he smashes that ball back inside 50, Carlton had numbers right at the foot of that.
Liberatore goes wide to Hunter. Another second-generation Dog. There's 6 of them under the father-son rule on the Bulldogs list. The equal most in the competition with Collingwood. Goes back to Dale, and Dale all the way back to Gardner. And they continue to shift play out to the Dock side as English marks left half back. He's going to go short to Bailey Williams. The sub who's on for Crozier out with illness. Had his heart checked by paramedics in that third quarter, but appears to be okay, walking around unaided in the rooms. Kicks a floater beyond the wing. Scott spills the mark. The Blues win it back. Fogarty to Setterfield, and now to Kennedy by hand.
Kicks it straight towards English. It bounced off the head of Bailey Williams in the end. Rourke Smith tried to gather. Cripps spun him around, released the footy towards the boundary line, and eventually Fogarty and Bailey Williams sees it out of play.
Did you ever cop the Falcon much lids in your career?
No, mate.
Off the box?
Don't remember trying to mark it with my face.
Too slick for that kind of stuff. Toss back into play. English in from the side against Pitnet. Tapped it down, but straight to Cripps of Carlton. Hand pass to Doherty. Kicks a high ball towards de Koning. Worked underneath it by Cordy. Big Tom's after it once more, but can't feed the hand pass to Hewitt as he's taken across the boundary line.
He's worked well too, Cordy. Cordy and Gardner, you know, I can be critical of those blokes, but gee, they've held up as best they could today. Can they do? They've been very, very impressive when the ball is really close in. Give their opposition no room whatsoever.
Pitnet grabs it out of the ruck for the boundary throw-in. Hand pass away to Hewitt. Kicks it again inside the forward 50. Curnow leaping up. Can't mark in the pocket for the Blues. Tackle dispossessed by Richards. Held without it. Free kick for Curnow. Up against the boundary line. He's about 30 metres out.
Did he take possession then?
Well, he had possession.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
If you've got possession and you lose possession in the tackle, you've got to ask the question, how did he get rid of it? That would have been a better call that the boundary umpire have it to throw it in, because that's where it ended up.
He's wide out against the fence here, Charlie Curnow. He's going to kick the drop punt off the right boot. What a finish. That's cash from out there. And Charlie Curnow's got 4. It never looked like missing. Right-footed drop punt. Right peg against the fence. And straight through it went. Carlton by 18 points, 15-5-95. The Bulldogs 12-5-77. 8 minutes into the final term. Mick Malthouse, Brett Delidio.
There was nothing surer than that going through, and there's one reason why, Mick. That's where all the boys come out of the race there, so they practice it. I reckon they would have had 10 shots from there before they go down. High-five the crowd and say, did you catch that one? So I watch a lot of boys have shots from out there, but geez, I wrote down on my notes before the game, he'll be better for the run, and 4 goals already.
Well, they've got 8 between them. I think they kicked 1 between them.
That's a fantastic goal.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
And that's a big difference. That's 3 goals different. We've seen 3 shots from the Dogs, from forwards, that have missed.
Hit 7 back in 2019. Charlie Kerno, his best outing since then. Kennedy emerges with the clearance, kicks long towards Charlie. He's outnumbered 2-on-1, and a good mark taker from Gardner at the back of the pack for the Dogs. Wants to move it quickly. Short to Treloar on the defensive 50. Out to the city wing where Rourke Smith hadn't stopped running. He runs onto it, takes the mark. Hand pass now to Vandermeer at right half forward inside the 50. Norton comes charging out. Wiedering with the push. No, the other way. The umpire team's Wiedering was pushed out of it. So the Blues take it back to Newman on the last line. And now the mark is taken by Zach Williams. He has it in the right back pocket. With Carlton leading by 18 points.
Former Giant takes a bounce out of the defensive 50, and Zach Williams kicks it long down the wing. Pitternet spoils English. Fogarty at the drop. Ushers it out to Hewitt. Slick hands, finds Kerno, jams it on the boot, kicks it over the fence and out on the full down to half forward. So the Dogs will get it back here on their half back line. You're going to win a few games of footy, aren't you, Mick, when your 2 key forwards kick 8 between them, 4 each from Mackay and for Kerno.
Absolutely.
An 18-point lead again for Carlton. Gardner goes down the line. Spills to McRae. Hand pass to Liberatore. He's off and running. Up over halfway for the Bulldogs. Kicks long. Down to half forward. Plowman spoils Bontempelli and out of bounds it goes. Half forward for the Bulldogs. Mitch Cleary's on the boundary. Mitch, any update down there?
No update, no sign of Hayden Crozier just yet, but just reporting what you repeating what you reported earlier, Corbin, in that he's walking around the rooms and there's no great concern right now for Hayden Crozier. The paramedics are back in position. He's not going to hospital at this stage.
Thanks, Mitch. That is good news. Mitch Hannon does the rough work here against Pitnet. Straight down to Setterfield, though. Kicks towards Harry Mackay at half-back. 2 to compete against. Couldn't take the mark. Kerno could to Fogarty. English is down and slow to rise. Hand pass to Setterfield and now to Walsh. His kick is out on the full. Trying to find Jack Silvani. Just 38 days after having surgery on that syndesmosis injury. He's barely missed a beat with 29 disposals so far except for that kick. Daniel takes the free kick. Cordy tried to provide the block on Silvani, long inside the 50. Wiedering spoils it down. Vandermeer crumbs it. Hand pass to Hannon. Flying shot on goal. It's coming back. It's come back enough. Or has it?
I don't, look, goal umpire suggests
goal review because there's no decision being given.
Yeah, goal umpire is when he puts his arm behind his back. I reckon it's an indicator that still play on.
Still in play. It seemed like it was over the line.
That is a goal. Yeah, too right it is.
Not to mention the goal umpire was cannoned into by O'Brien and Rourke Smith.
Yeah.
And I think Hannon's going to be delivering a vital goal here.
That's a goal, Quincy. Magnificent goal.
Second. We're just waiting for the all clear on the big screen. As it seems, O'Brien was over the line when he got a hand to it. Goal. The Bulldogs have the first 2 goals of the final term. No, Charlie Kerno kicked 1. 2 of the last 3. So it's back to a 12-point ball game. 15-5, 95 Carlton to the Bulldogs. 13-5, 83. 12 minutes goal final term.
Quincy, what an absolute sensational goal. I mean,
not sure he thought it was going to go through. He put it up in the breeze and it went through.
Yeah, well, the goal umpire, in fairness to the goal umpire, he was blocked. He was under real pressure. But that's a good call by the AFL, a good call by the umpires too. That's real credit to them to read the play because nothing was going to be gained by that play. If they had played it on, you have to bring it back, or do you go back? So, very, very good decision by all concerned.
The Dogs haven't been closer than 12 points since the 5-minute mark of the second quarter. It's back to 12 again now. English palms it straight down Cripps's throat. Off he goes. Hand pass inboard to Walsh. Walsh gets the centre break to Kerno. And look at the Carlton machine. It is humming out of the centre square. High fives for Cripps and Walsh. And Charlie Curnow can have a ping at the sticks from 40 out at right half forward.
Well, we spoke about before the game, Mick, didn't we, about sitting on your hands as a coach. You can't do anything with this new 6-6-6 rule. I like it as a spectator of the game, watching that you get shots on goal like this from the big key forwards.
Cripps to Walsh to Curnow to finish it off. He's got one for the thumb. 5 for Curnow. Carlton cracked the ton. And they're 18 points clear again. 16-5-101. The Western Bulldogs 13-5-83. 14 played in the final term on Grandstand AFL.
Cripps is so dominant in here, and English is getting his hands generally to it. I'd almost suggest, I know this goes against all the modern theory, if you can get your hand to it, don't try to push the ball, because Cripps is reading
like a book.
Absolutely like a book. Punch the ball.
Clear the area.
Put the ball into an area where it goes behind, because Cripps is not that quick, and you can see here structurally they haven't got a player who's going to sit behind their ruckman. So this is where English has got to, if he can get up high enough, shoot it again to Cripps.
He did, as Dunkley this time's able to get a little toe poke onto it. Cleared it away from Cripps. Zach Williams one direction, Waitman the other. The ball ricochets back towards the Dogs' goal mouth. Hewitt's onto it. Hand pass to Zach Williams, looking for Newman. Waitman tries to sweat on it and win the footy back. The Blues have the numbers though. Hewitt spins out of traffic. Hand pass to Doherty and back to Nick Newman at left half back. Long ball towards Durden, who had a fly. Couldn't come down with the footy. Bailey Williams for the Dogs. Hand pass forward to Dunkley, to Daniel. Now the hand pass to Treloar, to McRae, almost brought down by Fogarty. Kick bounced off the chest of Sard at the defensive 50. Hannon onto it for the Bulldogs. Hand pass to Waitman. Turns and kicks a high ball to the pocket. Jamara comes charging out. Can't take the mark as Wiedering came the other direction. Sard at the top of the defensive goal square. Turnins and casually kicks to the back pocket, and Newman out of defence.
Goes long to Silvani, no mark, falls down the Bulldogs' way. Giray kicks inside the forward 50, Cripps out to meet it, takes the tackler with him, throws it out to Walsh, says it's all okay. Hand pass to Doherty, clears defensive 50, Cordy just puts his fist through it and finds the safety of the boundary line. And a throw in between wing and half forward for the Bullies.
I think it was a front on there. I would have called it, just from the sight from here, I thought Ugle-Hagan caught one right smack bang in the across the chest.
Halfway through the final quarter, both sides have kicked 2 goals in the term, so it's still 18 points Carlton's way, as it was at three-quarter time. From the boundary throw-in, Smith kicks inside 50, Hannon flies, spills to Waitman, high up and under the top of the goal square. Spoil comes from the Blues, only as far as Waitman. Got it to McRae, short kick to Treloar, and Treloar marks 45 out right half forward.
Just cool head by McRae. Everyone else is losing theirs. He keeps his cool and spots a figure 15, 20 metres away. Treloar's good for this distance.
You like him from here?
Oh, I like him on the run, but you can still build up your run from here. I don't see any earthly reason why he can't go back another 5 metres and just be running in.
I reckon he's going to run around.
He's allowed to.
He'll kick it from around 50 out. Adam Treloar, the goal-kicking midfielder. He moves in but misses. To the near side or behind. Carlton by 17. 17 minutes played in the final term. 16-5 to 13-6. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio across the country and ABC Sport Digital.
Adam Sard looks to bring Carlton back into play. Dances and then takes a bounce. Kicks to Fogarty. Getting in the middle. Norton takes the mark. And immediately puts his hand up. He'll have the shot on a 45-degree angle. He'll kick from 40 metres out.
That's one of the things we said. If they can cover a first exit, and what happens, you put pressure on the kicker. So Sard, who's a good kick, doesn't know what to do with it and coughs it up. Conceding these kicks has been unbelievable.
So Aaron Norton, who spent parts of the third quarter off the field, can he strike here for the Dogs? Comes in, fires it at the right goalpost. It's not coming back. It is in the end rushed through as Bontempelli tried to get a hand to it on the behind line. Carlton's lead is 16 points at the 17-minute mark of the final term.
Carlton led by 37 just before half-time. They lead it by 16 here. The Bulldogs haven't been able to get within 2 goals. Saab long kick out to the wing, but Giray chops it off.
They've done it again because they've covered the initial short kick.
Just forward to the wing for the Bulldogs. Keeps it in the front half. Looks for Norton. Up strong and marking. Almost the same spot. He'll shoot it left half forward from 50 out.
No wonder Williams is looking around because he's wondering what Wiedering was doing.
Little block from Waitman.
Yeah, do you know, he's very straight in on his kicking. He's not a natural lefty. If he just gave himself just a little bit more room to the left, I reckon he'd be a far better kick.
He's kicked just one tonight to try and make up for his previous miss. He's missed it to the other side. One out to the right, missed one to the left.
He's missed one the first quarter too from memory. Right on quarter time.
Carlton 15 points in front. 19 minutes into the final term.
Newman straight down the middle, finds Setterfield. Still inside the defensive 50 for Carlton. Waits for Walsh. The kick is just short of him. Couldn't gather. Chance for the Dogs. Vandermeer. Hand pass to Liberatore to McRae. Kick marked by Dunkley. Could have been him or Jamara Ugelhagen. Dunkley in front. Takes the mark.
I repeat myself. There's the classical thing of covering the first one and make him have to kick the ball long.
How good was that kick, though? Everyone thought he was going long to the pocket. Just pulls it back across.
These are diabolical, these shots.
Dogs have kicked 2-3 in this final turn. They've had some shots. Can Josh Dunkley strike truly? No, he misses to the left.
What's that, 4 shots on goal?
Spread, hasn't it?
Yeah. It kills you. It really does kill you.
The last 4 scores in the game have been Bulldogs behinds. 2 for Norton and now 1 to Dunkley. And Adam Sard, full stretch, reels in the kick out from Newman. Sard in the back pocket, back to Newman. Top of the defensive goal square. That's a shocker. Slides off the side of the boot to the back pocket for Wiedering. Sweeping hand pass to O'Brien on the back flank. He puts it out on the full. G. Carlton with an unforced error after the Dogs have missed 4 in a row in front of the sticks. Carlton by 14 points. Approaching time on in the last. Bontempelli to Richards. Short to Dunkley. Well, Fisher's almost in the danger zone. He's called the move out of the way.
He was in the danger zone.
70 out, half forward for the Dogs. Dunkley into the pocket for Jamara. And Wiedering punches it over the fence and will have a boundary throw in right forward pocket rather for the Bulldogs. They got a bit of momentum up. They haven't been able to kick one though. They've missed 4 straight shots. Carlton's lead is 14 points, 21 travelled in the last.
Dogs have kicked 6 goals to 4 in the second half, trying to come home with a flurry. To Koning in the ruck. McRae read at best for the Dogs. Hand pass to Dunkley. Feeds it outside 50 to Richards. Kicks long inside the 50. Norton the target. Up with Bontempelli. Hands to it but couldn't take the mark. And it's through for a minor score. So the last 5 scores have all been Bulldog behinds. Carlton leading by 13 points.
See who wants to take this kick in. They've all run away from it. Zachy Williams is the bloke with it.
And they're taking away the short target again too. So now this has got to be marked.
Williams goes long and Kennedy a superb mark. Up over the back of Scott. Comes down with the footy. At half back for the Blues. Still 6 minutes plus on the game clock. Carlton by 13 points. Kennedy long to DeConing. Richard spoils. DeConing follows up. Hand pass through the hands of Setterfield. Broadcast wing. Doherty wants it the most. Hands it out to Silvani. Hand pass to Fogarty. Nothing up ahead. Dogs with numbers back. Hand pass to Hewitt. Back to Fogarty. Fogarty has to kick long in the Mackay direction. He's held. Gardner wrapped an arm around him. And Harry Mackay will get the free kick. 50 out at half forward for the Blues.
I get that Gardner's trying to protect his man and sitting in front of him and trying to help him out, but you just got to do it so subtly. You already had the help. Don't have to wrap him up. She'll take some kick from out here, just outside 50. This is the left footer's arc.
And he goes 60, this bloke.
His crime partner, Charlie Curno's got 5. Mackay for his 5th. He misses. Out to the right and behind. Carlton's lead 14 points, 23 played in the final turn.
Went over the fence, but just not...
Bailey Dale brings the Dogs back into play. Kicks to half back where Cordy takes the mark up to the wing. Liberatore dropped the mark. He's got enough time to regather in front of Walsh. Turns and spots Treloar. He marks centre of the city wing. He's got players on the dock side. He spots Dunkley as one of them. He takes the mark. DeRay running past. Feeds the hand pass to him. The Dogs have it at left half forward. Long kick towards Waitman. Bontempelli's there. McGovern dropped the mark. Still a chance for Waitman over the footy. Couple of Blues dive on top of him. Eventually it comes clear. And good defensive pressure as Wiedering's locked up. And the umpire will toss it up with Bontempelli locking the footy up. Just 25 metres out from the Western Bulldogs goal. They trail by 14.
Up it goes. No ruck for the Dogs. Pitnet tries to grab it out of the ruck. Has it whacked out of his hand as he goes to kick it. Treloar to Jamara. Hand pass back inboard to Waitman. Gives it to the Bont. Jams it on the boot. He's missed everything. Bounces out of play in the forward pocket. And a throw in right forward pocket for the Bulldogs. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
The Bulldogs will be trying to make up this 3-goal buffer in the final few minutes here without Aaron Norton. He's come to the bench, looks in serious pain, still hobbling around on that lower left leg injury.
Interesting mix in the game with Norton in that forward line from the boundary throw in. Comes down to Doherty, gives it to Cripps, tackled, kicks it forward. Durden grabs it. He's wrapped up by Smith. And a ball up. 30 out from the Bulldogs goal. It's Carlton by 14 points. Dogs with the momentum. 25 minutes into the last.
Pitnet wins down the tap for the Blues. Plenty of players. Liberatore can't get it. Eventually the hand pass comes to McGovern. High kick towards De Koning. He was there, couldn't take the mark. One-on-one with Gardner. A chance for Owies trying to run onto the footy. He can't keep it alive. As it goes out of play between wing and half forward for the Dogs. Carlton by 14 points. Approaching 25 minutes played in this final term. The Blues got out by 37 points late in the second quarter. The Dogs have come flying home in this second half. English wins down the tap. Dunkley on the bottom of the pack. Cripps over the top of him. And the umpire will toss it up still in the same position.
Up it goes. And down it comes to Kennedy. His kick trickles away to Rourke Smith. Hand pass to Daniel. Hands it away to Treloar. To Richards. Crunched as soon as he got it. Silvani lays the tackle. Walsh collects the footy. Hand pass to Owies. Stabs the kick to O'Brien. And he marks defensive side of the wing for Carlton. City side of the ground. Blues by 14. Great kick. And hits up Kennedy, who takes the mark. Just forward of halfway.
I think time's the enemy for the Dogs now. They've had a chance to bring it back through goal kicking, but paid a penalty.
Kennedy long inside 50. Mackay crashes the pack down to English. Breaks the Owies tackle. Hand pass to halfback. Footy runs away from Richards. Got it out to Treloar eventually to Rourke Smith. Was he out of play? Boundary umpire says no. Kicks it down to city wing. Doherty spoils. Liberatore soccers it clever. Away to Waitman and the mark's going to be paid. Takes it city wing.
He wants to move it quickly because Bontempelli's free inside the 50. Waitering and Setterfield both got back late. Bont's laying flat on the turf as Doherty races back and gathers at the top of the defensive goal square. He's blazing, kick out of defence, straight to DeRay. Short to Dunkley. As Setterfield cannon into him late. Is that 50? No. And Dunkley will shoot for goal. About 20 metres in from the boundary on a 45-degree angle. He'll kick from about 45 metres out.
That was well umpired there. I've seen plenty of umpires get sucked into
that 50,
into the situation and get caught up in the theatre of it all. That was just an incidental body spoil attempt. Needs this, absolutely.
He's had a shot in this final turn for a behind. Josh Dunkley comes in. It's left all the way. And a minor score. 13 points is Carlton's lead at the 27-minute mark of the final turn.
You can't say they haven't had their chances, the Bulldogs. Last 7 scores in the game, all behinds, 6 of them for the Bulldogs.
And I think 4 set shots.
2 to Norton, 1 to Treloar. And then moments ago for Dunkley. McGovern on the kick out, gives it a whack to halfback. Mackay up, juggled effort, no mark. Cripps, hand pass to Pitnet, missed him, it's out of play. Throw in, 70 out from the Bulldogs goal.
Well, Dunkley's had 2 shots this quarter, set shots. One of them, if he had let it go, Ugle Hagen was, probably a bit more reliable.
Blues by 13 points. Boundary throw in. Kennedy rushes to it, extracts it, stands up with a footy. Hand pass to Fisher. Away to Walsh. To McGovern. A little fumble. Knocks it on. Keeps it going forward. He was held without it, said the umpire. And the Blues get one back the other way. And McGovern says, pump the brakes. We're in control of this game. A 13-point lead. 28 travelled in the final term as he comes out wide to Newman. And they're lining up for a kick in the back half. He goes long down the line. He's kicked it out on the full. It's been a theme of the night. And Hunter will get the free for the Bulldogs at left half back.
Time starting to run out for the Dogs. So Hunter dashes across half back. Looks to switch play. Inside the defensive 50 to Gardner. He's got options out at right half back. Dale takes the mark and he'll want to move it quickly. Takes a bounce. Charging at him, O'Brien. Hugs the city wing with a kick towards Scott. It clears him and Plowman. And rolls out in front of Wiedering with Bontempelli offering chase. 29 minutes gone, final term. Carlton leading by 13 points.
Carlton fans making a bit of noise as the crowd starts to thin out. It's the Blues by 13. English wins the tap down to Daniel. Kicks it inside 50. Silvani up, no mark. Falls down underneath Hewitt. They all stand over the top of it waiting for a whistle. 40 out from the Dogs' goal. Silvani kicks it straight to Libba. Snap kick towards the goal face. A bouncing ball. It pitches just in front of the behind post and hits the base of it. We'll have a boundary throw in. Left forward pocket for the Bulldogs. They trail by 13. Half hour mark, final turn.
Deep in attack for the Western Bulldogs. Toss back into play. English in front position. Taps it towards the goal mount. Trying to spin through Doherty. Hand pass to McRae. It's volleyed through by Silvani. We might just check if he was on the goal line or if he was over. Had one where Mitch Hannon was able to snap truly deep in the left forward pocket. Lockie O'Brien on that occasion was over the line. Through the fingers of Silvani, who seems in front of the line. The fingers appear to be flexed back. So behind here for Jack McRae. And a 12-point margin Carlton's way.
Mitch McGovern to bring the footy back into play. He goes on a run and then kicks long to a contest on the wing. Where's that old membership slogan? Can you smell what the Blues are cooking? For the first time in a decade, Carlton at 2-0. And last year's grand finalists haven't won since the prelim. The Blues by 12.
We are the old dark navy blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark blues.
Carlton led by 7 points at quarter time. They kicked 7 goals to 3 in the second quarter to lead by 37 points late in the term. They led by 31 at the half, by 18 at three-quarter time. 2 goals each in the final quarter. And the Bulldogs had their moments. They kicked 7 consecutive behinds to end the game. Their last 7 scoring shots, all behinds. They drew within 12 points but couldn't get any closer after half-time. Carlton win it by 12. They're 2-0. The Bulldogs 0-2.
The Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark blues.
The two-headed monster up front. They kick 9 between them. 4 for Harry Mackay, 5 for Charlie Curnow. Meanwhile, 2 for Jack Silvani, 1 for Kennedy, 1 for Fisher and 1 for Owies. Meanwhile, for the Bulldogs, 2 to Liberatore, 2 to Scott, 2 to Hannon. And then 1 each for Treloar, Jamari Ugle-Hagan, Bontempelli, Waitman, Dale, Norton and English. The Bulldogs, after playing in last year's grand final, they were up by 19 points with a quarter and a half to go, and they were a quarter and a half away from having a parade. Melbourne kicked 16 of the last 17 goals, and you know the rest from there, and now they've suffered back-to-back defeats to start the new season to the Demons and the Blues. Carlton are 2-0, a win for caretaker coach Ash Hansen. And Michael Voss here are off to a winning start. Mick Malthouse and Brett Delidio.
He wasn't even in the house.
On grandstand AFL.
How easy is that?
Well, it's interesting. After half-time, it was 6 goals, 9 to 4 goals, 2. 6-9 to 4-2. 15 shots to 6. And it was very evident that there was a lot more spark around the ball. Possession-wise, it closed up compared to the first half. I think we said in the first half it was probably 70 possessions less for the Dogs. After half-time, it was around about the same. So clearly the Dogs don't need as many possessions to score, but they'll be looking at this game and thinking we didn't probably deserve to win by half-time. But after half-time, our set shots were abysmal. Bad kicking is bad football. It's an old cliche, but it stands. Norton missed one on quarter time, which would have reduced it to 1 goal as opposed to 2. The Blues opened them up in the second quarter, mainly through their midfield absolute dominance, and then the key forwards. As we said, it only has to go near the key forward from the market or kick a goal. They've kicked 9 between them. If you look at the key forward and maybe we throw in Hugo Hagen, the Dogs kicked 2. So there's the massive difference, and yet you'll see 25 shots to 22, all the Dogs' favour. Stoppages, clearly Carlton were much cleaner with it, and when they got it, perhaps what we saw with the clearances, even though that they were relative, I think
24-17 stoppages, but 15 all centre clearances.
Yeah, so when you say 15 all, what was so evident about it, when Carlton get it in their forward line, it looks like it's a great clearance.
Yes, it's clear.
Whereas, but even if it wasn't clear, it's sort of like it was marked by Mackay or Curnow picked it off the ground. He kicked some remarkable goals, Curnow. Then you look at the other end, the Dogs just had really nothing there that was going to open the game up. They had to work for every goal they got. Man, it was a credit to them. It was a real credit they did, but Carlton deserved to win. At the end of the day, they were the better side.
Patrick Cripps leads Carlton off the ground, 35 and 2 for him tonight on the back of his 30 and 3 to start against Richmond last week. More thoughts from Brett Delidio and Mick Malthouse, and we'll get Lids' analysis in just a moment. We might take you into the Carlton rooms. Mitch Cleary's down there and he'll be able to call them in. Carlton winners by 12 points. They led most of the night, 16-6 over the Dogs, 13-12. Massai.
Thank you, Corbin. 2-0 for the Blues. Ash Hansen just over to the side of the rooms right now. They're going to try and egg him on and see if he wants to enter the middle of the song, but he's just hanging back at the moment, the stand-in coach. Of course, the Blues missing Michael Voss, their midfield coach, Tim Clark, head of football Brad Lloyd missing today, as well as Adam Chera, Jack Martin. So they've a few soldiers down, but they're coming in to sing the song for the second time this season from as many games. They're going to enjoy this one. Here they are. They're just arming up now and about to belt out their famous song.
Have they not been 2-0 since 2012? They haven't won a game in the first 2 weeks of the season since 2012. So they've been 0-2 every year from 2013 until now. So that is a phenomenal start for Carlton. Next Sunday they play Hawthorn at the MCG. It's a home game. Do you reckon there'll be a few Baggers fans make their way down to the MCG next Sunday to watch them take on the Hawks? Meanwhile, for the Western Bulldogs, we'll pull apart their fortunes in just a moment, but they play Sydney back here at Docklands this time next week.
Yeah. with injuries too. So be interested to see how they come up. And it's such a year where we've seen players drop out with COVID and injuries. Lists appear to be, they just don't seem to be as strong. So who you bring in, you can almost predict the top 5 players for every club will be in the top 5. What you want is occasionally the middle 5 to produce the best on the ground. And at the moment, if the cream doesn't perform well, the side doesn't perform well. And we've seen that again today. Cripps, Walsh come into the side. I thought English was very, very good, but when he puts his hands up and touches that football, if he can get it himself, he looks great. At the moment, he's getting his hands to the football, it's going to Cripps, or it's going to Walsh, or it's going to Hewitt.
So just quickly on that, do you think that the Stars are having more impact in the game today than perhaps any time over the last 20, 25 years?
Well, I think, yes, I do, because we've got 18 sides, and we say our population's grown. No, I think the football community has shrunk. We haven't got as many players from Tasmania, for instance, and there's a lot. I know, a dear friend of mine, Rob Wiley, who coached the under-16s in Western Australia. Before I took him to Carlton, which was in 2013, he had 60 sides to pick from. When he went back, he had 25.
Wow.
And that clubs they're just not producing the number of players. So when you've got 18 teams, interesting enough, Hocking said, I think that should be 36 players per list. He had the opportunity to have that. He didn't introduce it. I think what he was almost suggesting was, there's the $1 million we want for the women, but he's also saying there's not enough good players, so therefore why are you paying the last 5 or 6 players, $100,000? You'll get by. I'm of the belief that the lists are very, very weak and they fall away dramatically. That's why I say about premiership sides look fantastic, and clubs want to pinch their 22nd player or 23rd player. Their 22nd, 23rd players probably no better than their 15th player.
Yep. So the Stars influence results more than they have in the past.
Absolutely.
Yep. We'll hear from Brett Delidio in just a moment as well. We'll take you down to the Carlton rooms. The Blues winners by 12 points. They start 2-0 for the first time in a decade. Mitch Cleary.
Sam Doherty, hearing that stat, 2-0 for the first time in a decade, how does that feel?
Yeah, well, it was the first time I'd run one in round 1 last week, so first time ever gone 2-0. So, no, it's a good feeling. It was a gritty game in the end. The Dogs came back pretty solidly in the second half. They got working around the ball and lucky enough to hold on in the end. And it shows a bit of character in this group. We're growing. It's a good, tough win and good to start the year.
We stood in the MCG rooms last week and asked Matt Kennedy what it would mean and the belief you get from beating Richmond. What does it mean for this group? What belief will grow from beating the team that was runner-up last year?
Yeah, well, I think it's just more reward for effort over the pre-season. We're pretty confident in the style and the game plan that we've got and the cattle we got on the track. So it's sort of just laying those positive seeds about the way we're going about it and the culture we've got here. So it's an awesome start to the year, obviously, to go 2-0. So we'll just keep charging on from here.
Does it add an extra layer knowing who was missing tonight? Adam Chera goes out, Jack Martin. You've done it without your coach in his second game.
Yeah, I think that, as I said before, that just shows the character of our group. We've had a bit of a funny week this week. We've doing weights outside and training in small groups, and that flexibility that COVID's taught us across a few years, the next man up mentality. I know it gets spoken about a lot everywhere, but to have the guys come in and adding Sam Walsh back in, and then Fogg's played his role down forward. So, proud of the group. It's, as I said, it's a really good start for us.
I'll probably upstairs. Matt Clinch, Corbin Middlemass, Brett Delidio and Mick Malthouse.
Sammy, congratulations, mate. Not only on the win, but on your ability to get back. It's just absolutely outstanding. It's such a... I guess it's a fill up for so many people who may feel down and a little bit out, that if you hang in there long enough, it's a credit to you, mate. So well done. So how have you pulled up?
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Mick. It means a lot. As I said last week, pretty lucky to represent a large cohort of people that at times are doing it pretty tough, and I hope I bring some form of inspiration to them in the times they are. But pulling up great, which is unusual for me. I actually pulled up worse before my cancer stuff, so we'll just keep charging on, get the training in during the week. Didn't cop too many big knocks this week, so hopefully ready to go. Got a long break until next Sunday against the Hawks, so feeling really good.
Look, for the public's point of view, go back to 2012-13. You also had a problem then, outside of the fact of a death in your family, which obviously I don't know if people know, but whether you'd be prepared to talk about that. But also, you you were also ill then. You had to go onto some medication to get yourself in a position to even play football.
Yeah, well, if we're going to go back through my length of my medical history, we'll be here for a while. I've managed to run into a lot of bumps along the road, and obviously when I came to Carlton, you were coaching Mick, and I had some rare immune disease back then. And I didn't know what it was. We're punching around on different tablets to try and get me up to play. Some were good, some were bad, but being able to sort of ride those bumps early has sort of set me up, and unfortunately keep running into them. So finding a rare ability to keep punching back from them.
Yeah, well, it's a credit to you. Just tell me, with Michael Voss not there, this is the rarity in today's football, and I suppose it may not be the first or last time that this takes place with COVID and so forth. What sort of information do you get from him during the week, or does it go straight through to your coaches? Because you also didn't you lose a midfield coach as well?
Yeah, we lost our mids and our forwards coach this week, along with obviously Vossi. Ashley's done a great job this week. It's one thing that Vossi set up since he's come in the door is he's really empowered his coaches to take charge of this group, and in a sense it was sort of business as usual. Vossi sort of does a lot of the game day stuff, and we haven't actually heard from him much this week. I hope he's going all right back at home, but Ash did a great job in prepping us, and we had two of our development coaches. We had Dan O'Keefe coaching the midfield, who coaches the back line in the VFL, and then Torrin Baker, who coaches the mids in the VFL, coaching our forward line. We had Simsy on the bench because Lukey Power went down as well. So it was as I said before, it was a bloody interesting week this week. We lost a few soldiers, especially on the footy staff side. So we did our very best to keep it as normal as possible, but I think it just shows the culture and the group that we've got here. We're pretty driven to succeed.
Doc, Brett Lidio here, mate. Well done. Speaking on that and losing so many senior figures around the place, obviously it comes down to your senior players and your leaders at the club. What was the halftime chat like, given you're up by so much? Give us a bit of an idea of how that went.
No, we obviously started the first half in our brand and played it really well, and the Dogs are always going to have a bit of momentum, and that's been probably one of the significant things for us this year, is being able to limit that momentum and be able to not get too many big runs on, and we're able to sort of, if they kick two, we kicked one, so being able to stem that flow of their momentum in the games of footy, because you're not going to have it all on your terms. Pretty proud of the group, but yeah, half time was business as usual. We just wanted to go out there and play our way, be strong in the contest, work really hard for each other, and play as a pretty united group.
Sam, I know you've got to go, but just quickly, for the Carlton fans that are listening, there's been a few false dawns over the last 20 years or so. Is it different this time?
Oh, well, we haven't started 2-0, so it's definitely a little bit different. But no, I think we've got a group with a level head here. We're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. We've started the season really well, and we're pretty proud for the reward of our effort for the pre-season. But we know we're going to keep charging on. We're only on the early stages of earning respect back from the footy world and other footy teams, so we'll just keep grinding away.
I mean it when I say, Sam, it's a joy to see you out there on the field. Be well, and we'll chat again soon.
Thanks very much, guys.
Sam Doherty, the former co-captain of the Carlton Football Club. One of the most inspirational stories in the game this year, and it's going to take some beating, having already established that after 2 weeks of the season.
And playing well. 25 disposals tonight. He's not making up the numbers. He's playing a pivotal role.
That's it, isn't it?
And really providing that leadership inside the back half alongside Jacob Wiedering. I guess the other part that just stands out off the page is 9 goals amongst your two key forwards. Yeah. For so long, Carlton fans have wanted to see this from Charlie Curnow, 2019, the last time he played consistent footy, so 5 games in 2 years. And to see him light it up today was a lot of the patience and persistence, I guess, last year being rewarded.
Yeah, and that's it. I think the beauty is that he didn't get them all one way, did he? He kicked his first 3, I reckon, from crumbs almost on the run, and then the last 2 were that unbelievable set shot from out here where they practice so many of them. But look, it's I'm pumped for the Blues in general, their supporters, but to have the 2 big key forwards, that's good for footy, I reckon, when you've got 2 big key pillars kicking big goals.
Well, Geelong have got it,
haven't they? Yeah, Hawkins and Cameron.
West Coast have had it. Kennedy and Darling and Oscar Allen. So
in Tom DeConing, they've probably got 3, to be honest.
Yes, they have. And when you're a coach and you have to sit down and you go, right, we've got Keefe who could maybe go to Kerner. Oh, what about the 6'5" Mackay? Who takes him? Who takes Hawkins? Who takes Cameron? Who takes whatever? When you keep going through it, there's not a lot of sides that have got 2 genuinely good key backs, and the I suppose the kick to about the Bulldogs has been they do lack those, and what happened last year with Brown kicking goals. I shouldn't just talk about the grand final because, I mean, they were outstanding to get to the grand final, the Dogs. But what's holding Port Adelaide back? Key backs, Lira comes along and holes up one end for them. But what happens at Greater Western Sydney? Keefe has to come in and take a spot. But, when you've got Riewoldt and Lynch playing good football, which they were, hard to hold. So key forwards, you win games. I don't know what the Australian-Japan ended up, but if you don't have a striker, you don't win games of soccer. And it's the same with Australian rules football. You can have all the football you like, but you've got to be able to score, hit that scoreboard with. And generally speaking, the ones that will do it for you through the year are the big key forwards.
Yep. Nick, this is amazing production. It's almost like you knew what was going to happen and I was about to throw to. That's perfect setup.
Where's the wizard, Timmy Cahill?
So the score's 0-0. This is what you need to know as we go to this particular point. This is what happened with the 2 goals that were scored in the game between the Socceroos and Japan.
Yamani's trying to pull the ball back into the middle. There might be a chance here for Japan, and it is. And it's a goal. It's that man, Takumi Minamino, in the midst of the celebrations there. And Japan have broken the hearts here of Australia. Ball on the left-hand side. It's basically up to Australia to try and win the ball back. That's a good run in field. Looking for a second here. Shooting in towards goal. It skids under Matt Ryan. And Japan lead 2-0. That's it. Done and dusted. And Japan, after toiling away throughout this game, they've now seen the man who came on off the bench, Kaoru Mitoma, scoring 2 goals in the final 5 minutes of the action here at Stadium Australia.
As called on ABC Radio tonight, Ned Hall and Paul Wade, a 2-0 victory for Japan.
It was 0-0 after 84 minutes. Geez, that turned quickly.
Oh, did it ever.
That means the Aussies are going the long way around the mountain. They've got to go through the repechage
again
to try and qualify for the Qatar World Cup later this year. 0437 774 774, the SMS number. Carlton winners by 12 points here tonight. In the cricket, Pakistan need 351 to win off 120 overs. And after 10 overs, they're no wicket for 22. So still looking for our first wicket, the Aussies, with Shafiq and Imam Al-Haq at the crease at the moment. Lids, the Western Bulldogs side of things, and Mick as well. They're obviously a fascinating conversation now, the Dogs, where it depends. I guess it depends what you wanted to take out of Beveridge's post-match press conference last week. But I spoke about this a little earlier today, and I thought it's a presentation to us externally, but maybe a glimpse on what's going on internally in the way that sides handle grand final defeats. And Mick, you've had to do it as a coach, and Lids, you've been part of successful programs that have gone deep. But how you sort of process that and come back, and if that's the presentation he's putting out to everyone externally, and just a glimpse as to how highly strung they are internally, this is a team that's now 0-2 in their grand final defence.
Well, if I can just jump in there, I'm all with Luke Beveridge for a start off, because I understand the pressure, and long as it's whatever happens from the moment that TV's turned on or the radio's turned on and it's turned off, it's what happens in the rooms. Yes, you're going to be tense. You've lost a grand final. No one likes to get there is hard enough. The prediction I had for that game was it was always going to be difficult. They'd been on the road for so long. They led partway through that third quarter, I think.
Up 19.
And got over, 16 goals to 1 or something like that. Unless you've been through that travel environment, and I did it for 10 years, back and forth across the Nullarbor, and in certain circumstances, particularly early in the 90s, we weren't allowed to have a pre-season game. We had to have everyone on the way. We weren't allowed to have a final when it was due for us. We had to play at the MCG. So there was 5 or 6 of those through the time. It grinds you down, it grounds you down. But you do it together. As long as you got those players going your direction, it doesn't matter how narky you appear and all sorts of stuff. If you've got the players behind you and they are following you because you're doing it for one reason, you're doing it to make the side better, to win, to get the best side. And yes, you're going to get narky on certain players for certain, like he'd walk off going, he'd be shaking his head going, we blew the game. Carlton had us, but we had a chance to get back. We missed 5 or 6 shots that we should have got. And the but is, we've got next week. Then if I recall, and I know you're very good on stats, Matt, I reckon Sydney lost 6 games a couple of years ago and made the 8. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got a memory of them starting poorly and still getting there.
Well, I reckon they lost 6 games. I don't say the Dogs will lose 6 games. You only need 12, but now they've got 20 to win 12.
Yep.
2 weeks ago they had 22 to win 12. Now they've got 20 to win 12. They can only afford to drop 8. Okay, your odds narrow, but they're a good enough side. Yes, and you say they lost to Melbourne. It could have, quite frankly, I thought that game would go either way. It didn't mean how Melbourne's head was after the game and where the Dogs. This one here, Carlton had everything going from Smith. As soon as Smith fell out of the side, it had to be that the midfield of Carlton with Curnow and Mackay in the side playing the way they can play, always going to be a struggle. Always going to be a struggle. And it turned out more shots, less football, go down by 12 points. They're a long way from out of it, the Dogs.
I guess just to give you a number, so recent history, since 2000, grand final defeats, there's been 7 by more than 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
None of them have come back to win a final the following campaign, not one. So 4 of them have missed the finals completely, and the other 2 both made finals. One went out in straight sets, and the other one went out first week.
There's not enough good sides.
But is there some scarring that a loss like that carries, that all of a sudden now you've got 2 losses and a tirade from the coach, which was extraordinary, to start a campaign which last year you were grand finalists. At halfway through the third quarter, they were about to hold a parade. They conceded 16 of the next 17 goals, and now all of a sudden they're 0-2. It just feels like if you put all that together, is that a snowball effect?
Doesn't feel like, to me, one iota.
Yep.
If there was a panic on the ground, I'm not seeing the panic on the ground. I'm not seeing bad play. I'm not seeing players just fall totally away. We're seeing players. We've seen the better players still play well. Their bottom part of the side.
So it hasn't changed your opinion of the Bulldogs?
Not at all. I had. Well, I've got Essendon. How good am I going? But I have no doubt that the Dogs will be there around the mark because there's not enough good sides. There's clearly just not enough good sides that can replace them if they play poor football. They will play good football and win games of footy. Make no mistake about it. The Blues are real.
Yep.
You can't be a bottom side for that long and keep dragging players out of Greater Western Sydney and have first-round picks and finally get a bloke who, my way of thinking is, Michael Voss is tailor-made for them. Toughen them up. Let them play the way they play, but toughen them up, and they're playing tough football. They're a Monty to make the 8, Carlton.
Yeah, but the Dogs, yeah.
No, Carlton.
Carlton,
but,
yeah. But the Dogs' conversation's more about whether they're winning the flag. It's not so much whether they're making the 8. They came into this year having finished. Well, they were one of the best 2 teams all of last year. Played in the grand final.
Yeah, but everyone look at them and go, you know what? If we can get the ball in there, their backs aren't good enough, and that hasn't changed.
Yep.
They haven't addressed the backs. They were hoping with a first-round pick, or one of the relatively first-round picks with Ugle-Hagan, that he was going to be plays little cameos. Right now, he's, to me, still a mile off it, but right now they've got to pick him every week. I don't reckon the Dogs can win a premiership with this side because I don't think their backs are good enough, but they will shape who plays in the grand final. And on evidence tonight, Beveridge certainly hasn't lost his players. They're playing as hard as they possibly can. That's why they come back at him. They come back very hard.
You could argue last year they finished 5th, and for as good a season as they had, they weren't in the top 4. You were spot on. 2017, Sydney lost their first 6, and they eventually won in round 7 against the Brisbane Lions. They made a semi-final that year and eventually lost to Geelong. So the Bulldogs lost their first 2 in 2020. Collingwood and St Kilda, they finished 7th in that year, 10 wins and 7 losses. But it was a shortened year, so the question is are they a better team this year than what they've been in previous years, knowing full well that they've got some challenges with clearly Marcus Bontempelli not quite right, spending more time forward, and the injury for Josh Bruce out for the season.
That's a big one. I think the ability to have another key prong up forward and allow Jamara to play that third tall and get the third best defender versus being a key pillar that you're relying on to clunk it for you. But as I totally agree with Mick, I questioned this last year. I think on a lot of our shows, Corby, that their backline, they haven't got, as my old man would call them, a gorilla tamer. They haven't got someone who can just go down there and hold down a Tom Hawkins or a Buddy Franklin.
That's it. So they need to dominate through the middle.
So give me level of concern 1 to 10. 10, I'm really concerned. 1, I'm not concerned at all on the
5.
Dogs.
5. I'm not concerned at all.
You're 1 or 0?
I'm a 1.
Wow.
Yeah, and I reckon their midfielders always cover their defence. The concern is there might be sides like Carlton tonight whose midfield might be better than theirs. Melbourne.
That's it.
There might be a few others as well.
Oh, there are a few others. But like the sides that missed out on the 8 last year, and this is only my very humble opinion, I've got Carlton from outside going in. I've got Richmond from outside going in, and I don't even know why I picked the Tigers, quite frankly. More and more I look at them, the more and more they're getting tired. I would have rather have left Greater Western Sydney than what I did. So, but it's hard to drop the top 8 out when you analyse who could go in, because the sides outside are not good. They're not playing good footy. I mean, everyone keeps on pumping up Fremantle. I still can't see how they're going to be any better than the 8th side of last year.
Well, they have to have a depth, which is what we've seen from Carlton tonight, is that the depth of
course
players who have been waiting to play their best, and we've only seen 2 weeks of it, but I think 2013, the last time was they kicked 100 points to start the season 2 consecutive weeks, so it's not just one thing. There's a couple of things that are going for them.
That may be Mick's humble opinion, but when you coach more games of VFL AFL footy than anyone else, that is now the official opinion of everybody out there. Mick Moldhouse with us on Grandstand AFL. Carlton by 12 points tonight.
Yep.
Now, Mick never does the votes in the ABC Football of the Year.
He was quick to turn to me. I'll give you the tip.
He's always hands them over to Cameron.
I'm a good hand passer.
I was about to say, I can't imagine you're going to do them tonight, are you, Mick?
No.
So Brett Delidio
He's looking forward to them.
Brett Delidio has the votes.
He has influenced me. Now, I looked at the stats, and I don't like doing that, and I just wanted to check off just to see where I was at. But one vote, I've gone to Jack McRae. I thought he was probably the Dogs' best player. Set up 2 shots on goal. They didn't convert him in the last quarter, so he was doing everything he could. So 1 vote, Jack McRae. 2 votes have gone to the bloke who spent a lot of time off the field than he has on, or more time off than on, and Charlie Curnow, 5 goals tonight. I thought he was fantastic, and the best man on the ground for mine was Paddy Cripps, 35, 2 goals, 23 contested possessions, and my favourite, 12 score involvements. So easily the best man on the ground, if you're asking me.
That's 2 in a row, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Close to it.
1 to McRae, 2 to Curnow, 3 to Cripps. He got all 10 from the coaches last Thursday against the Tigers. And it'd be tough to stop tonight. More to come in the postscript on Hayden Crozier, who had his heart checked in the 3rd quarter but was walking around in the rooms unaided thereafter, so he appears to be okay. And Aaron Norton picked up a corky. Meanwhile, a back injury, as reported by Mitch Cleary, for Oscar McDonald. We've got to get out of here. Thanks to Craig back in the studio, to Stu Baker, to Mitch Cleary on the boundary, the best newsbreaker in footy, with us on Thursday nights throughout the season. Thanks to Matt Clinch, Mick Moldhouse and Brett Delidio.
Buddy watch tomorrow.
I was about to say tomorrow night, Swans. Cats, does Buddy get his 4?
No.
No. How many?
3.
3, with 1 to get next week. Mick?
No, I don't think he'll kick his 4 tomorrow.
No.
2 on Tom Stewart, I reckon.
2 on Tom Stewart.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yep. So that would mean he would need 2 here next Thursday night, which would set it up beautifully for Victorians everywhere across the country if Budwa comes to Melbourne needing 2 the following week. We'll see what happens tomorrow night on Grandstand AFL, the Swans and the Cats, but here under the roof at Docklands in front of 35,000, the Blues are 2-0. They beat the Dogs by 12 points.
I can feel the excitement building all week, in between work, family, all the other things that keep me busy. It's always in the back of my mind. And before you know it, the ABC has the footy on the radio again.
Petrarca, he turns, he steps, he goes! Chucks it on the point, floats goal, it floats through!
Here they go, Harvey.
What a finish!
Light up your week with the best call in the game.
Grandstand AFL.
AFL, right here on ABC Radio Melbourne. ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of netball.
Welcome to 1+1. I'm Kurt Fernley. Harry Garside is the ballet dancing plumber who boxed his way to Commonwealth and Olympic glory. We'll catch up to talk about Australia's first Olympic boxing medal in 33 years. But to Harry, there is so much more.
Represented Australia, Harry Garside.
Harry Garside.